Let's go down and visit with Mickey and Minnie in Orlando, Florida. Hello there.
Hello.
Hi.
Bruce, we've been approached by a company representing themselves as a gold purchasing network.
And how did they happen to find you?
Well, they were referred to us by a business friend that...
referred to you? I mean...
a business friend had become involved in this thing, and they suggested us as a...
Well, they probably are required to turn in some names.
I'm sure, yes.
Yeah. There's a big difference between referred to, hey, boy, this is the best thing since ice cream, or somebody knocking on your door, I got your name from Stu Bell.
Right.
You know, there's a big difference.
Okay, I'm probably the ultimate skeptic.
No,
and
I'm the ultimate skeptic. You're next.
And I've heard you often saying, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
It is. The word probably doesn't even belong in there. It is too good.
But have you heard of anything like this? Where
describe what the proposal is.
The proposal is that you buy purchase a contract to buy gold.
Yeah.
And then you get X number of people to also buy a contract to buy gold.
Oh, that's automatically, you've underscored what I said. Your buddy was forced to come up with some names.
You put a deposit down, and then supposedly all these other people put their deposits down, and you start getting your money back before you pay the full amount out, and so on.
It's a permutation of some kind of a pyramid.
Well, that's what it sounds like. They call it binary.
Binary?
Binary networking or marketing.
Binary. There's
marketing.
A new term for you. I don't know what binary. Well, I've never heard that term up there. Network, multi-level. Binary means two.
Yes.
I have no idea, but I'll tell you this: if it's predicated on that kind of activity you described, I wouldn't go near it. How much money do they want from you? Well,
they started out with a contract that was going to cost $60. Then they came back a couple of weeks later and said, "Well, we found that if you buy 3 contracts at once, that you'll get your contract filled a lot faster."
That's $180.
So then that's $180.
And how much are you supposed to...
Now, wait a minute. Then they came back 2 weeks later and said, "Well, now we've found that there's a better way to do it, and if you go in at $450, then you'll get lots more money back."
How much are you supposed to get back for your $450?
Within 4 months, you're supposed to get back $17,000.
Yeah, right? Well, come on. Well, it's a pyramid scheme. You ought to know better than that.
Well, that's what I think too.
Well, think. Wait a minute. Hold it. Think. How in the world can 400 become 17,000 in 4 months?
Well,
without a ton of people getting screwed.
Well, that's my theory too. Where's the money come from? It's got to come from somewhere.
Well, your theory. It's not theory. It's a fact. Yeah. The money doesn't get created. It's a pyramid, pure and simple.
It's kind of like a chain letter, more or less.
It's the same crap, and every one of them they're illegal.
Okay. Well, apparently there was something on 60 Minutes just this week about it, which I didn't see.
Well,
but I thought,
they're all fundamentally flawed. They are all on the same basis of you getting more suckers. Come on in. 1 get you 2, get you 4, get you 8, get you 16, 30, 64, 128, and so forth. That's what it comes down to. And it works fine as long as each sucker gets more suckers.
Right.
But we run out of people very quickly, don't we?
Yeah, well, that's right.
And then it's over. No, dear, that is pure scam.
Now, only one other thing, but let me just ask you. They claim that they have a wonderful Dun & Bradstreet rating.
So what does that got to do with anything?
That's only their credit rating, isn't
it? That's exactly right.
Okay.
I mean, you could be a mafia don and have a great D&B.
Yeah, right.
Probably would have one, as a matter of fact.
Right, because you've got all that good money.
That's right.
Okay.
This is a swindle, scam. I don't know how many other ways to put it, honey.
Okay. Well, I as I say, I was skeptical, but I just wanted to.
But you just thought, boy,
yeah,
450 to 17,000.
In 4 months, that's pretty good, isn't it?
Pretty good. You know what the word is? Greed.
Yes, you've hit it on the head. Absolutely.
I wish you well.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Oh yeah. They never end. The rascals are out there. They come up with these ideas, and the thing is that there's an intelligent lady, and she knows better, but she really wants to believe that this is the time she's been selected. And as long as people want to believe that way, these fellows are going to drive very, very expensive automobiles and eat Brazil nuts on location. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. We are off now to the city by the bay, San Francisco, California. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi.
Good to talk to you.
Yes, sir.
I have two questions, both regarding venture capital. And the first one is not actually in my field of work, but I came up with an idea, and I've talked to a patent attorney, and the idea is not really patentable.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those really simple kind of, oh, shucks, why didn't I think of that, with a vast market potential, no new technology, some basic software, and some basic changing of hardware. And so I want to approach some venture capital funds rather than say, look, I want to start a company and here's my business team. And
well, wait. What makes you believe venture capitalists want to have a talk with you? What's in it for them?
Well, what I want to propose to them is that I'm sure they know people, because Menlo Park and Silicon Valley is just down the bay.
Yeah. Maybe I'm unclear about something. What are you trying? You want to go out? You want to get into this business?
No, I don't want to get into this. I just want to basically, drop it into the lap of somebody who is in the business, who could easily set up a business and make it a go of it.
But you see, nobody needs you for that.
Well, they need the idea.
Yeah, but the idea is not something that you can protect. You just got through telling me that.
Right.
So then who needs you? You're totally superfluous to this whole idea.
Okay, but the point is the idea could have value.
Yeah. How many ways can I tell you?
Okay.
Unless you go out and do something with it, it has no value. You come to me with the idea, right?
Uh-huh.
I got it now. What do you got?
Well, supposedly, according to this attorney, I can get a non-disclosure statement, and if they turn around and make money from it, I've got a claim.
Yeah, lots of luck.
Yeah, that's what
tell your attorney he ought to go out and represent Mr. Rubik.
That's what I thought.
Because all the guys that ripped him off, or maybe Mr. Linkleiter, when they're ripping him off with a hula hoop.
Yeah, that was my feeling, too. I thought, well, okay, so you give me a letter, so what?
Exactly. So what? Why don't you just go out and do something with this idea? If it's a good idea, do something with it.
Well, it's not in my line of work.
In that case, I think it's like, all of us have a million ideas. Very few of them ever come to fruition.
Okay.
That's what it comes down to.
Let's go on to the second issue.
Okay.
I plan to start a production company in film and video. Okay.
That's a tough racket, as you should know.
Yeah, it is. It's an extremely tough racket, and there's a lot of competition. But the question is, it's a service industry, and if you do a good job and your reputation is good, you bring...
Somebody's got to make them. Somebody's got to do it.
Right. Sure.
Somebody's got to succeed. I'm not going to quarrel with that.
And it's the communication age and all of that.
Well, that aside.
Okay. Basically, my major startup cost is producing a portfolio, what we call in the industry a reel, which you then can go around and show as a sample of your work.
And you've never done anything before?
Yes, I have. I've been in the industry for about 4 or 5 years.
Well, haven't you got some representative samplings of the stuff you've already shot?
I do, but not in the area that I want to go into.
What does that mean?
San Francisco is very strong in what they call industrial videos.
Mm-hmm.
And practically 90% of the work up here is of that nature.
And have you not done those?
No, I've made documentaries. I made a couple of short narrative films and a couple of commercials. I've never done anything that is specifically in that industry range, and there's nothing that is really on a professional level.
Mm-hmm.
So I need like about $50,000 to put together a real hot reel.
Well, who in the world is going to do that for you?
Exactly.
Nobody. Not unless they love you. I mean, talk about a long shot. I mean, wow.
So,
why? And first of all, 50 grand sounds like a lot of money for a spec reel.
It's not. Not if you're going to include some really good commercials, too, which is part of the business, too, going after commercial work.
Lots of luck. I cannot imagine anybody who is wrapped at all tightly putting up money for the kind of deal you just described to me.
But don't venture capital firms, like, they take about 50 or 60% of the company?
Yeah, but they got to look like they're 60% of something. That is so highly, what you've described is about as speculative as anything I can think of.
So what do you suggest?
You got to go out and get a job in a business, work in a business till you produce something for somebody else with your logo on it, with your name on it as the producer. I mean, I just can't imagine anybody loaning you money for that, unless it's somebody who's close to you, seriously.
Okay.
I mean, I don't want to rain your parade, but I think you'd be a total waste of time going to people with an idea of that kind. I mean, it just way outside the laws of probability. I'm Bruce Williams for Talknet. Sunnyville, California, it's your turn. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce. How are you?
I am super, thank you.
That's great. My question for you is, I'm planning on putting a swimming pool in my backyard soon.
Sounds good. Am I invited?
You bet.
Okay.
Always. And what I want to know is it possible for me to have an attorney draw up some kind of liability form so when people are using it, I'm not held responsible so I don't end up with any kind of lawsuits?
In only one word. No.
Why not?
Because you can't sign away your rights and the rights of others. Do you ever go skydiving or anything like that?
Are you kidding me?
No, it's fun.
I'm too busy listening to you.
Well, listen, I'll take you skydiving. It's a lot of fun. Point is, before you do that, you sign a big old statement saying, that you don't hold anybody, or scuba diving be the same thing. Do you have children?
No.
Okay.
Single and available.
Oh, my goodness gracious. We'll have to talk.
I'm ready.
In any case, well, how old are you?
30.
Okay, you remember when you went to school, okay?
Mm-hmm.
When you wanted to go on a field trip, your parents had to sign a note for the school. They didn't hold them responsible and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Virtually worthless. Virtually worthless. First of all, let's assume that I show up and I've got a child with me, all right?
Mm-hmm.
And I sign this little document that you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I can't sign away that kid's rights.
What if it's just adults?
I don't have that right to sign away. It just doesn't stick. But there's an easier answer. There really is.
Get insurance?
Carry adequate insurance. That's right.
What's adequate?
Well, I believe that you ought to have at least $1 million, and you can do that relatively simply and not too expensively.
Mm-hmm.
You do it with what's called an umbrella policy.
I heard you talk about
Okay,
this.
do you know how that works?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how it works?
I could have my car and house and everything under one.
Well, that's essentially what it amounts to. You have to have automobile insurance and whatever the minimums are with regard to this umbrella arrangement. Mm-hmm. You also have to have liability insurance, usually in the form of your homeowner's policy on your home, and kind of visualize gears with teeth on them. All right?
Mm-hmm.
The policies have to mesh together so that the primary policy, let's say in this case your homeowner's policy, has a liability portion. Mm-hmm. Let us assume it has a $100,000 liability. Mm-hmm. All right, then your umbrella policy would have what's a $100,000 deductible. Mm-hmm. So the first 100 would go on primary policy A. If anything goes above that, umbrella picks up.
Mm.
You see? And they're not expensive. Probably California's a little higher than some other parts of the country. I would imagine $150, something like that. Mm-hmm. What do you do for a living?
Computer. Education.
Okay, there's no problem there. If you see if you had some kind of a high exposure in your job, then theoretically your umbrella can be much more expensive.
I have a new home, so I have a pretty good deal on insurance right now.
Mm-hmm. No, I wasn't thinking of that. For example, if you did something in your business life, let's say you're a surgeon, for example. Mm-hmm. Well, either they would exclude your medical activity, right, or alternatively, it would cost a lot more money. But that's not a problem for you. But that's the answer to the thing. All the releases in the world are not going to protect you.
Okay. My other question is, what kind of financing? I don't really want to take a second. Could I just get like a home improvement loan?
Well, a home improvement loan is a second.
It is a second?
Sure. You're pledging your property.
So then that's a tax write-off then?
Well, yes.
I didn't really want to pay the points and all that of a second loan.
Well, no. What you want to do is look for what's called a home equity loan.
Home equity, okay.
The home equity loan, and you also want to look around, you read the newspapers and look for a sale. The reason I say a sale is that oftentimes the lenders will have a time when you can put one in place and not have to pay a $200 or $300 fee to get the thing in place. And then it's there when you need it. And of course, like anything else, you're going to look at the rates. Shop.
Oh, exactly.
Shop. How much is the pool going to cost?
I'm still looking. I'm having estimates right now. I figure $10,000 if I wait till this winter.
And what is your home worth?
About $200. It's a new home past Livermore. So.
Past who?
Livermore.
What's a Livermore?
Barnes Livermore Labs. You haven't heard of them?
No. Where in California are you?
Near Tracy, Silicon Valley.
Oh, you're up in Northern California.
Yes, Central Valley, Stockton. That sounds familiar.
Let me see. I'm just trying to...
50 miles east of Oakland.
Okay. San Francisco, I got nailed down.
You got it. San Francisco.
And Los Angeles and a few other places, but you start the rest of these little leaps, I have no idea what we're talking about.
Well, I thought you're an authority in all aspects of everything.
You need Mountain View in that area?
Yes, exactly. I'm about 5 minutes from Mountain View right now.
Son of a gun. I have a cousin in Mountain View.
You do? When you come visit, you look me up.
All righty. I'm going to be in Mountain View in a couple of weeks, as a matter of fact.
Are you going to do any live shows anywhere?
Not there, no. In California, yes. You listen in the evening, you'll find out about that.
Okay, well, we only get you here in the morning, KNBR.
Is that right?
KNBR, and I commute. I'm on the road by 3:30, so they have you on like from 3 to...
Hold it, 3:30 in the morning you commute? What time do you work?
4:30 a.m.
Wow.
I'm software support for the East Coast.
Oh, I see. So you gotta be in sync with 7:30 a.m. East Coast time. Goodness gracious sakes alive.
It pays well and it pays my mortgage, right?
You're 30? Serious? You're single and you have a $200,000 house?
And I'm putting in a pool.
Boy, oh boy, you're making big. What do you earn a year?
Close to 50.
How do you support a $200,000 house and that kind of income?
It's easy. Plus, I have a nice car. How did everybody else do it?
I don't know. That you've been being very, very serious now. You're way out of proportion in terms of your income.
I did have to have a co-signer. My brother is a co-signer.
But you're making the payments and so forth, huh?
$1,700 a month plus credit cards plus everything else, no problem.
17 at 17 is $20,000.
I guess I don't have a man right now. No expensive gifts.
My goodness, though, it's $20,000 a year just on the payments.
Which is a write-off, so I'm able to claim 10 as my tax deduction.
But you only save 28 cents on the dollar. You sure you're not getting over your head with this pool?
No, I'm checking it out pretty closely. I don't think so. I still have a couple $100 a month I'm saving. Plus, I do our savings plans at work.
Boy, I'll tell you something. You're doing very, very well. I mean, you're making a ton of money. Don't misunderstand me. But based on the amount of money that you're earning, with what you're acquiring, you are doing extremely well. You really are.
Well, thank you. Wish I had this on recording. For First Waves to tell me I'm doing very well. That's pretty good.
Son of a gun.
Well, great.
It has been a joy.
Thank you.
Take good care, sweetheart.
Bye.
Let me see. They're telling me go to a break. Let's do so. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Waltham, Massachusetts. It's your turn. Welcome to Talknet.
Hi, Bruce. How you doing?
I'm doing very well.
Good. I'm a long-time listener, and I really enjoy your show.
Well, thank you, sir.
I got a question. I'm about to be flown down to look at some land in Florida.
Hold on to your watch, your wallet, your credit cards, and the rest of it.
Well, can I mention the company?
No.
Huh?
No.
I can't mention the company.
No.
Well,
but when they're going to fly you down to look at the stuff.
I look at the property. It's a pretty reputable company.
Watch, wallet, credit cards. Yeah. Hold on to them.
And supposedly they're going to wine and dine us for a weekend and everything, and look at it. And
what is it you're looking at?
Right now, it's a part of Central Florida.
Yeah.
And
what's this? A brand new development?
Well, it's no, it's been around since I think.
No, but the development has got to be new. It's a new home.
Well, it's like on phase. They're on phase.
And it's still a new development.
Yeah, yes.
Whereabouts in Florida?
It's in Central Florida.
Well, Central Florida covers a lot of turf.
Well, if I mention the place, then it'll...
Well, is it near the Orlando area?
It's about 90 miles north of Tampa. It's near Inverness.
All right. I would be very, very cautious if I were you. First of all, I wouldn't fly down with them. That's for openers. I go down by myself.
Really?
Oh, you can get out for $160 for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Secondly, I would spend some time looking at other properties to give you an idea of what I would do that before I looked at theirs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I plan to do that anyway.
No, before.
Yeah.
How the heck do you know what you're looking at?
Yeah, right.
In terms of comparable value.
Yeah.
Right now in Central Florida, there are some very, very attractive buys.
Yeah.
Right?
I assume there is, yeah.
Well, no, you don't have to assume it. I'm telling you.
Yeah, well, that's why I call it, because I know you know, I know you own property.
There's some very attractive buys.
Yeah.
But you see, and what you're looking at may be okay. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you're not going to know. That's the problem. What I know is totally without relevancy.
Yeah.
But the fact is, you're not going to know because you have nothing to equate it against.
It's supposed to be a reputable company.
Oh, dear God in heaven. How many ways have I got to say it to you? I don't care how reputable they are. They're there to make a profit.
Yeah.
You're there,
I know it. I know the
and
land.
you're there. Wait a minute. And you're there to get the best buy you can.
Right.
Now, you're up there in Waltham. What do you do for a living?
I work at Polaroid.
All right, fine. If somebody walked into that place, didn't know from cameras, from film, from nothing, Polaroid's a very reputable company, right?
Right.
If they asked 10 grand for a camera and the guy knew from nothing and he paid the 10 grand, Polaroid made a hell of a profit, didn't they?
Yeah.
Doesn't mean they're not reputable, does it?
Right.
All right, but if you shopped around and you started to look around, you might find there are other possibilities. Isn't that true?
Sure. Oh, yeah.
Now, what I'm telling you is I would not do what you're doing.
Yeah.
I would go down and spend a couple of 3 days bumming around the area in a nice automobile, talking to real estate people. Everywhere you look, you're going to see for sale signs.
Yeah.
Knock on the doors, see what property is bringing. And then I'd go right into that development what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
I'd talk to independent real estate people there, see what resales are bringing.
Right.
Then go to the pitch. Now you're going to walk in with a shotgun, not with a pea shooter.
Yeah.
And no peas in this case.
That's right.
You're a real sheep right now waiting to get shorn.
Yeah. Well, I plan to do everything you said to do, but only reverse.
But if you do it in reverse order, how do you know what you're talking about?
Exactly. That's a good point, but I'm going to the Naples area in April, and I plan to look down
you can't compare the Naples area with what you're talking about. The Naples is, and I don't mean any one is nicer than the other, but Naples is certainly a heck of a lot more expensive because it's further south.
Yeah, right.
But I would not do what you're doing because these guys are very good at what they do. I won't sign anything. Yeah, hello. There are an awful lot of people who are smarter than you are.
Well, supposedly, I've known people who have gone down there, and it's very, very low pressure. Okay. Absolutely no pressure at all.
Yeah, I don't believe that for a moment.
Well, I've worked with two people who went down there, and they couldn't believe it. They kept on sweating and saying, well, they were waiting for the...
All right, maybe look, it could be. Yeah. Look, I don't... It's your money, man.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I mean,
when they're willing to spend the money to fly you down there, you can bet your life they're going to try to sell you something.
No, I mean, I got to come up with $200. It's going to cost me $200. My wife and I $100 a piece.
Well, it's nothing.
But that's nothing. You're right. That's nothing.
But you can fly down on sale to the Tampa area for $160 to $200 a piece.
Yeah.
And frankly, I'd rather go without the obligation.
Right.
Get yourself a rental car. Rental cars are cheap in Florida. From Tampa to where you're going is about 110 miles.
Yeah, roughly.
Do the research on the way. Right. We're not talking about nickels and dimes here. We're talking about a major purchase.
Right.
I wish you well, kid.
Thanks a lot, Bruce.
I would appreciate a call back. Let me know how much pressure or non-pressure was put on you. I'll be interested. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Off we go now to Dallas, Texas. If I was impatient with that gentleman, I'm going to be impatient. I'd rather beat up on him than see him go and spend a ton of money unnecessarily. Hello, Dallas.
Hi, Bruce. How you doing?
I'm doing real well, thank you.
Good. When are you going to come back to Dallas?
Oh, golly, I think in the late fall, early winter.
Fantastic. Be looking for you. Question for you. Need your advice on something. I am about to run out on a 4-year lease that I have on.
Love your show or your program. Very interesting.
Well, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
What's on your mind, kid?
I live in a condominium, and there's 86 units, and we have a problem with collecting association dues from one or two homeowners.
What do your association bylaws that this or these rascals have agreed to call for in terms of penalty and collection procedures? It's usually spelled out pretty good.
Well, there is a penalty if it isn't paid by the 5th of the month, and we can put a lien on the property.
Well, that's what you got to do.
Well, we have done that.
And then foreclose.
Well, the problem is
I have been told by the board members that if we foreclose, we'll be subject to take on all the debts.
The first mortgage, that's right.
And that would be probably a tremendous amount of money.
That's the only way you're going to get people's attention. Now, of course, you can play. You ever play poker?
Yes.
Well, you can bluff a little, too. I mean, you're liable to scare them a little bit. What? You got 86 units and only 2 of them aren't paying?
Mostly one.
Well, why don't they pay?
I don't understand. We just don't know why they don't pay.
Well, anybody ever talked to them?
Because both of them are working.
Has anyone ever talked to them and said, hey, how come you're different from the rest of us? How come you don't pay? How come we got to make
They have, but they just say, well, get in line. We owe other people. You know, I mean, that's the remarks we get from them. Line up, you know.
you got 2 choices. You got really 2 clear choices. One, you could ignore them and just pay their money for them.
That's what we're having to do now.
Or the second is, well, then by all means, then I would file a tax lien. At the very least, file a tax lien. Or not a tax lien. File a lien against the property, so in the event that someday they try to sell it, you'll get your money.
Well, we do have a lien already. We've had that, but it's up so high now. It's up to about $20,000.
What?
Yes.
The lien?
No. Well, yes.
How can that be? How much are your dues?
Well, we were paying 106. Now it's gone up to 140 due to
a month.
Yes.
That's $1,600 a year. How many years? No, that's 10 years. It's been 12 years to build up $20,000.
Just about.
They haven't paid for 20 years?
Well, I don't think. No, they haven't been out here that long.
How long?
This 20-some thousand would be.
How can that be 20,000?
Well, it would be with interest and other.
How many years have they not paid?
Well, probably for most of the time they've been.
How long have they been here? It's like pulling teeth.
I'm not sure, but I would say 8 or 9 years.
Now, in my opinion, you guys are even too lax, too long.
Oh, well, I know that. Yes,
I would start a foreclosure at $20,000.
Just foreclose?
Yes, ma'am. I sure would.
Because do we still have to keep, even though they're not paying anything, do we still have to keep repairing?
You probably, because you own it. They don't own the unit. You own the unit. The inside, the structure and so forth.
Well,
do you guys have an attorney that represents your association?
Yes, we do.
What do they say? Or he say, she say, it say. 5 seconds. What do they say?
That we can't do anything.
Nonsense. Well, in my opinion, you file a lien, you foreclose, play hardball. I'm Bruce Williams for Talknet. I do apologize to that lady, but unfortunately we backed up against the time constraint. First of all, the association has boxed themselves in. You should never let anybody get that far into you. 9 years worth. I wonder what they're saying. Well, get in line. They're getting the benefits, and no, they're not paying for it. But I would file foreclose, and if it even costs to get them out of there to foreclose and kick them out, it'd be worth the effort. Let's see, I'm going now to Williamsport, PA, home of the Little League World Series. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce. How are you?
I am well, thank you.
Good. Bruce, I've got a question for you. I was divorced about 2 years ago, and under an agreement, my ex-wife lives in the house that we own together.
Okay. And at some future date, is she required to sell it and then split the proceeds?
Well, she'd like to buy it from me and remain living there.
What is the?
We have an FHA loan against the house.
And how much equity do you guys have as we speak?
Well, I've got over 20% equity.
What's that mean in dollars?
$40,000 house, about $12,000 in equity.
All right, so she wants to hand you $6,000 and stay there. Is that it?
Well, she's had it for 2 years. I get a little less than that. But my question is, for her to refinance, it would cost a lot more, and I don't think she could do that right now. Yeah. We have an assumable FHA mortgage.
Yeah, but she can't assume from herself.
The bank thinks she can.
Is that right?
Going from...
it's a non-qual... How long has the mortgage been in effect?
About 5 years.
That's a non-qualifying FHA.
Well, it does have the lender's choice on it.
Then it's a qualifying FHA. 5 years?
Yeah.
I thought they were non-qualifying 5 years ago. Well, without
it does give the lender the option to refuse it.
Okay, then it's a qualifying.
Now, my question is, if I let her assume the loan and I get a statement from the bank that I am not liable for this loan anymore, am I truly free and clear?
If she has assumed it and they have taken you off the bond, yes.
Well, they don't take you off the bond. The bond and the mortgage are legal instruments, stay in place.
Well, wait a minute. You just got through telling me that they could take it on an assumption, ordinarily, until a mortgage is satisfied, you're on a hook.
Right.
Okay? But you just got through telling me that they're willing to take you off. That's why I questioned that.
Oh, no, I'm saying they're willing to give me a letter.
I don't know I have no idea. It's a legal question for your attorney, what that letter does for you.
Yeah.
Ordinarily, when there's an assumption and it could go through 10 hands, you're still on the hook. Now, as the equities build, and you realize it's a first mortgage, this has nothing to do with any secondary financing than they do.
No.
As the mortgage is paid down, as the equity increases, your liability obviously becomes an academic question rather than a real question.
But would that affect my future financing of another house?
Yes, it will. They will take a look at that and say this is a possible obligation that you may have. Now, how much is it going to affect it? In the case you told me there's a 20% equity already.
Right.
I doubt seriously if that'll be a major problem. Put another way, if I must assume that you're on some kind of reasonable terms with your former wife.
Yes.
Yeah, I would have no hesitation about going ahead and doing this. Okay. Is she going to come up with the 5,000 or 6,000, whatever it is?
Well, the bank's going to give her a second
mortgage?
Second mortgage, home equity type loan to pay me off.
I don't think you have any. I wouldn't have any reservation about doing that.
Okay.
But that's a personal point of view.
Well, the lawyer says make sure that we get at least a vice president of the bank to sign the letter.
Well, listen, he's in your corner. I don't know what that's worth, to tell you the truth.
Yeah. Okay, I wanted to run it by you. Thanks.
Take good care.
All right.
Hi, Bruce Williams. Yeah, that can be a problem, huh? It's refreshing, maybe that's not the word I'm looking for. And I've had several calls in the last few segments we've done about people, at least when they've been divorced, at least say, yeah, one gal called and said that sure, he was an honorable guy and she was willing to go along with things. Isn't that so much better than this super acrimony and tearing each other's heart out? If you're thinking about a divorce, think about that. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Mr. Bell points the finger. I guess that means I go to Freeland, Michigan. Hello.
Hi there.
Hello, baby.
My husband and I own a nice bedroom ranch home in a nice neighborhood, and we have very good renters. Last week he asked us if he could put up an above-ground swimming pool, 20-foot pool, and I'm concerned of our liability if there should be an accident.
Well, does he have tenant's insurance?
Yes, he said he would get $500,000 worth, and he said he would sign papers where he and his wife would not hold us liable.
Well, signing papers that he doesn't hold you liable is completely worthless.
I heard that, too.
Because he can't sign away my rights if I'm injured there. But with a $500,000 policy in place, and if he agrees also to put a fence up, which would be necessary in all likelihood, and now it's above the ground, it may be that you consider the pool itself the fence. I don't know. In some places, yes, some places, no. But I would feel much more comfortable if the pool was fenced, both from a legal and from a moral point of view.
Well, I talked to our insurance company, too, and they suggested that they keep it covered when they weren't around.
Well, that's all very nice, but it's not realistic. It really isn't. I own a swimming pool, and although it's not above the ground, but I would not want to have to put a lid on the thing every time I fooled around.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, though, if, the lawyers these days, these people, could sue these people and they could turn around and sue us.
They will sue you as a landlord. That's the only question about that. But the answer is have enough insurance in place.
How much would you recommend?
I think at least $1 million.
Oh, my goodness. We don't...
$1 million, not much.
Okay, well...
No, wait a minute. I don't want to leave you... I don't mean that I have $1 million in my jeans or anything of that nature. But $1 million today is not a whole lot of money. And furthermore, $1 million in liability insurance is not expensive.
Okay, I'm going to do that right away then.
You should have that on your own home anyway.
I know, and our liability isn't that much for that.
Why don't you get yourself an umbrella policy that covers these things?
Okay.
A personal umbrella policy. Now, because you own rental property, it might cost a little more, maybe a couple, $300.
Uh-huh.
But it's certainly worthwhile.
Okay.
See, in today's, let's assume that somebody was to get in that pool that shouldn't be in there, all right?
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't die, but they took enough water in to cause brain damage. How far do you think $1 million would go?
Not very far.
That's exactly right. Same thing is true. You have your own home now?
Yes.
Somebody's sauntering down the sidewalk and do you have children?
Grown up.
Okay. Well, for whatever reason, you're considered to be liable and they become paralyzed and they fell on your property. $1 million?
I hear that you can never have too much insurance.
Well, you can have too much, but $1 million is not very much, and it's not expensive these days with an umbrella policy. Do see your insurance broker and talk to him about an umbrella.
Okay, I will.
Okay, kid.
And Bruce, I saw you when you were in Saginaw.
Yes, indeed. That place was big.
It was big, but I want to apologize for the people that walked out before you were through. I thought that was very rude.
Well, it always happens because some people are always like a ball game. They're going to beat
other commitments. Yeah.
Well, not only commitments, but they want to beat them. Did you ever go to a professional sporting event?
They want to beat the traffic.
That's it. There's always people going to beat. I mean, I expect that. If I remember in Saginaw, we had standing room only. It was about 4,700 people up there that night. And I'm always pleased when that happens. And I have no problem with that at all. No apologies necessary. There's always people, I want to beat the traffic, Harold.
That's it then.
And how do you deal with that?
I enjoyed that evening very much.
We had a good time. And I hope well, thank you for inviting me. I hope we'll do it again real soon.
Okay, thanks.
Take good care, sweetheart.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, it used to bother me a little bit when I do these things around the country, and always somebody they sense that it's the end, and they get up and walk out. Always happens. Well, there are people like that. They're the same guys. They go to a football game, and the score is 36-36, and they're on a 3-yard line. Hey, let's get out of here and beat the traffic. We'll listen in the car. I mean, I don't understand. Why not stay home and listen to the whole damn thing in the car? I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. We go to Salt Lake City, Utah. Hi.
How you doing, Bruce?
I'm okay. I'm hoping to get invited back to your town one of these days. I've been in Salt Lake for a couple of years.
Well, if you come over here, it's 100 degrees today.
Well, that's I can deal with that.
Yeah, it's not so bad. Long-time listener and a first-time caller.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, I'm 37 years old. I've been a school teacher for 13 years.
What do you teach?
7th and 8th grade history.
Okay.
And I've been doing that...
Forever.
Forever, yeah, and I get about 200 kids a year, and I'm looking to move on into other things. And they always say, write down a list of what you like to get into and so forth.
Sure.
And I made a list which is a little bit diverse: forestry, journalism, newspaper, radio, TV, public relations, hotel, tourist management, and so forth. What I need to know, Bruce, is does my 13 years of teaching experience mean much of anything when I look into other lines of work, especially in the business area?
Would depend on what lines of work. Some of the things most of the things you mentioned, I think the answer is probably no.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I mean, what does teaching history got to do with forestry?
Yeah. All right.
I mean, how do you apply what you've done there? Now, on the other side of that, if you said you were going to go into some kind of, for the sake of discussion, group therapy, maybe, yeah, because you work with the middle-sized rugrats there.
Okay.
If you were going to go into, you said journalism.
Yeah.
Well, certainly just to pick up a degree in history required a certain amount of research and the same skills that would allow you to dig into history would also allow you to dig into contemporary action and activity, would it not?
Yes.
So there is some relationship with journalism.
Now, next thing. If I look into these other fields, I would probably have to return to college and get a degree in those particular areas.
Well, some things there are degree oriented, and some are not.
Okay. In teaching, there's very little chance of doing any networking, so I don't know anybody in these areas.
Why is that? No, wait a minute. I don't agree with that at all.
Well, the teachers whom I know are either they like what they have or they're resigned to what they have.
That may be, but you said you taught 200 kids. 200 kids means 400 parents.
That's true. That's true. I didn't think of it that way. That's true. And I do know some of the kids pretty well. Okay, the next thing. I want to rewrite my resume so that it is not a teacher-style resume, a listing of courses I have taught over the years. Do you recommend a resume service?
No, I don't recommend a resume at all.
Okay, what do you think?
I recommend a personal letter to the individual you are trying to attack.
Okay.
Knowing something about that individual so you can say something that's going to ring their bell.
Okay.
Now, then, if they ask for a resume, it can be something very short, 2 pages.
Right.
I really don't care that you went to the wee folks nursery school. Not important anymore. The fact that you went to high school is a given because you're going to go to college. You have a college degree. Why is it necessary to talk about high school? And the fact that you were a real good Burger King flipper 14 years ago before you went into teaching is really not relevant anymore. All of this garbage most people put onto their resumes for reasons that escape me. You know, you can always say at the end, if you'd like further detail, I will amplify as much as you desire. But most people don't respect the person's time who they send this stuff to. It's apropos and maybe not. On the show that I did, I think it was, well, it doesn't matter, not too long ago, a guy was saying that he had a problem with, with a company, if memory serves me. But the thing was that he had provided information for his congressman, all right? He said, I gave him all the details, and he said it was like the telephone directory. That's the worst possible thing to do. Who's going to thumb through that stuff? The answer is nobody. You give him 1 page, he's going to read it. You want the Reader's Digest version. You don't want War and Peace, I mean, because most of us don't have time to devote to these things.
Next question. Would it be better to go up to, we have a big university, in town, go up and talk to professors in these areas, or should I find somebody in let's say, a hotel, at a hotel, or somebody who does the hiring? And
answer is yes. Both.
Okay.
One doesn't exclude the second. Okay. Sure, talk to the academics. And also talk to the guy in the trenches down there at the Hilton in downtown Salt Lake. Okay. Talk to both.
Right now, would it be better just to call them on the phone or write them a letter?
Or walk in. Or all three. See what works for you.
Yeah.
Some guys just got to grab in the cafeteria. Others will ignore your letters, and some won't take your phone call. There's no one-size-fits-all again. Scattershot.
All right. And one final question. I'm also considering leaving this area and moving up into the northwest part of the country.
Like where? Like Seattle, Portland, that area?
Seattle.
Okay.
I have friends up there who keep saying I should go over and try my luck up there.
What responsibilities do you have?
Just myself.
Okay, well, that's easy. Any mistake you make, only one guy gets penalized. That's not a bad deal.
Okay. I would probably go through the same process if I would move up there.
Indeed. I wouldn't just pick up and move if it were me. I'd go up and spend a 3 weeks, see what it's like.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I don't mean live in the best hotel either. Try to live like a resident.
Yeah.
I mean, the Seattle area is a practical matter. The whole Sound area, Tacoma, is gorgeous.
Yes, it is. Beautiful.
And right now, the economy seems to be doing very nicely. But it may not be for you.
Yeah.
You're going to have to say, you're not going to see any 100-degree days up there. You can bet your life on that.
That's right.
Nor are you going to see any snow to speak of. Mm-hmm. But you're going to see a ton of rain.
Yeah, that's what I've been told. I've been up there a few times, and when I've been up there, it has been nice. But you got a good point there.
Well, it's one thing when you see a place from a vacationer's perspective. It is quite another when you see it from a resident's perspective. And until you see it from the second, I think that you have a distorted view. Not necessarily a bad view, but one is not a representative view. Good luck.
Okay, thank you.
There's so many places that you and I have visited. We don't see it quite the same way as the local, for the obvious reasons. We're being catered to in the hotel and whatever, and your time is your own. You're not fighting the rush hour traffic. You don't see what it's like in the subways if they have one, and you haven't been in the supermarkets. None of these things are bad or good, but you ought to savor them. You ought to test the waters before you spring. Little Ferry, New Jersey. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce.
Hi.
I thought I'd...
Cold is it in Fairbanks? God, you live in one of my favorite towns, but not this time of the year. How drafty is it?
35 below.
30?
35 below.
Let me see, this is December something, the first part of December. I was up there 2 months ago.
Right.
I'm walking around in a shirt sleeve, too, and now it's 35 below?
Yes, it's really cold. We've had some record-breaking temperatures.
Can I ask you a serious question? Are you local, or did you come from somewhere else?
I came from somewhere else.
Where'd you come from?
Montana.
Okay.
Montana?
Okay, well, you know how people ordinarily in the Christmas time, it's kind of traditional, you see guys out there selling Christmas trees and a barrel with a worm in their hand. Do guys do that at 35 below?
Well, my husband and I did 5 years ago.
Did you really?
And it was a disaster.
Boy.
Yeah, the very first night he had the trees in there, we had built this shed in a parking lot of a local supermarket, and we put some heaters in there. And the next morning when my husband went by, there was smoke coming out of the cracks in the building, and they had gotten too warm in there and burnt all the tips of the trees inside the building.
My good, lovely. Forget that I spoke. What is on your mind?
Well, I have some questions about some airline tickets that we purchased.
Yeah.
They're some special tickets that we had purchased, and now it looks like the company might be going bankrupt or Chapter 11.
Are you talking about Continental?
Yes.
Well, Continental,
But I couldn't say the name.
Well, I mean, it's not exactly the news that one of the biggest companies in the country asked for protection under Chapter 11 earlier today. It's Continental.
Right. Well, I just wonder, we won't be using the tickets until June.
How did you pay for
them?
them?
Credit card.
And yeah, nothing to worry about.
Will I still be able to get a refund?
So I said you have nothing to worry about. You have nothing to worry about.
Okay.
Well, if you got something to worry about, so have I, because I got Continental tickets to Hawaii next month. I bought 4, 6, 8 to Florida. And I must have 30 or 35 for this month for various people working with me with Continental.
Oh, okay.
So if you think you're exposed, but they're all.
Well, if they had been within the next few months, it would have.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because if they do go out, and I don't think they will, certainly wouldn't be good for the country if they did. It's too big a company. But if that happened, if you put them on the charge card, you have nothing to worry about.
Okay. Well, that sounds great.
Because they cannot charge you for what you did, and you can get a credit on the charge card.
Okay. Well, they said that they would refund my money right now, but we're just not sure.
But that has nothing to do with anything, because federal law says you cannot be charged on a charge card for a service that wasn't delivered.
Okay.
So you're covered two different ways.
Okay.
But you must be going out of Anchorage, not out of Fairbanks.
Yeah, we'll be driving down to Anchorage and flying out to New York.
Because they don't have any service out of Fairbanks. I'm aware of that too.
No.
Not to worry, baby.
Okay, well, thanks a lot, Bruce.
You're very welcome. Now, it's unfortunate when any major company has to seek protection under Chapter 11 because the fallout affects us all. I've said this so regularly. When one person goes down, everybody to some degree suffers. You start to wonder about government officials. Don't they realize that people got to make a profit? Indianapolis, Indiana, hello.
Hi, Bruce. How are you?
I am well, thank you.
When are you coming to see us again?
Next time I get invited by. All you got to do is talk to Mr. Pigeon up there and the rest of that mob.
I'll have to give him a holler.
IBCers? Super.
Yeah. I've got kind of a unique problem. I guess it's a good problem to have. I've got a job review coming up in about 3 weeks. And I'm a computer programmer, and right now I'm getting paid about 25% below what the going rate is for my job experience.
What you do is you reprogram their payroll computer.
There you go.
Spits out big-sized checks, problem's over.
Yeah, job security's not too good, though, if you do that.
That's true.
But anyway, I went in and talked to my boss this morning, and I told him that I had pretty much a problem with my salary, and he understood that. And I did that because I knew that it wasn't totally his decision. On that
big company,
medium-sized, and there is some precedent for me getting the raise. One gentleman was fired a while back, and I know what he did tell me what he was making, which wasn't really probably a good thing for him to do. But
what difference does it make to him?
Yeah, it helped me out.
He was history; he didn't care.
Yeah, and but what my boss asked me to do was to write up something to give to him. And what I he wouldn't tell me what he wanted to see.
What does that mean? A demand, a ransom note. I'm holding your children. I get a raise.
Right.
Or if you don't give me a raise, I'm quitting. Or does he want some kind of a proposal as to why you feel you're worth more money?
I believe he wants a proposal.
Well, first of all, I go back to him and ask him precisely what do you want. I'm not trying to be funny.
Right.
But I want to give you what you want.
Okay. All right.
I mean, until you can answer that question is answered, I don't know how you can approach it very intelligently.
Right.
I go back to him.
Well, I did. When I discussed it to him today, I told him that, I love the place. They've been good to me. And
I understand all that, but then he said, I want you to put something in writing.
Right.
And that's fine, but I'd go back to him and say, I'm being redundant.
Okay.
I want to know specifically what the intent of this proposal you want me to... What am I supposed to be saying?
Right.
That's all.
Okay.
Then you and I can talk again.
Right.
I do wish you well, kid.
Thank you very much for your...
I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around for more. We're so delighted you're here. That's fact. This is Talknet. Let's go now to the Metroplex, Dallas, Texas, at 570 on your dial. Hello there.
Hello there. I have a particular problem, and I'm wondering what to do.
Let's talk.
I have a neighbor that lives across the street from me, and he's an okay guy. But he insists on repairing automobiles in his garage and painting them and hauling them around and so on.
You mean for his own use, or for he's doing this for a living?
Well, he does it for a living.
Sideline.
He does it for a sideline.
As a business.
As a business.
All right. And you find this offensive?
Yeah. It gets tiresome after a while.
Tiresome in what way? Does he make noise, or?
The other thing too is I'm kind of a night owl, but he like last night I was up until 2 o'clock in the morning, and you could hear his stereo through the walls of my house, and that goes on a regular basis. And I don't.
And what's the stereo got to do with the garage?
Well, it's a lot of things. He's loud with the music, and he's loud with the cars.
Well, what are we talking about now? The stereo? Or are we talking about the
car?
There are two separate areas.
Two separate areas.
The likelihood is that you are in a residential zone that prohibits business activity such as you described.
That's correct.
Now there's less than likely a prohibition on stereos, although there may be some kind of a noise ordinance or whatever, which is extremely difficult to enforce.
Mm-hmm.
Now the question is, do you want to blow the whistle on this guy?
Yes.
Well, that thing that you're talking to me on will do it.
The complication, though, is my wife runs a little business out of her home.
Ooh, the same one you're married to?
Yes.
In your house?
Yes.
You've heard that story about people who live in the proverbial glass houses shouldn't be pitching rocks.
That's true.
Well, if you blow the whistle on him, you can depend on it.
Well,
you won't put the phone down when he'll be blowing the whistle on your wife, which is your wife's usage may be innocuous, but it's just as illegal.
No, she watches children. She's a registered daycare home. We've gone through and got all the permits and everything that we need to make it legitimate.
Okay, so then why did you bring it up?
The thing is that I called the city and had the city come after him and made him tow a car away.
Yeah.
Shortly thereafter, the Department of Human Resources contacted my wife on a complaint.
Right.
The thing that I'm afraid of is that if he knows that I'm the one that's doing it, that they are going to give my wife problems.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're going to say, boy, that's not right, and that's not fair. It's also life. It's not that I'm unsympathetic, because, man, I just went through an experience very similar, just with a lot of zeros added on. But there's a time for pragmatism, and I think you just ran up against one. I wish you well, kid. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Wake up tomorrow morning to Jeff Pigeon and the WIBC morning team. You'll get accurate traffic updates from WIBC's Big John Gillis. We go down to Savannah, Georgia. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce.
Hey, baby, what's happening?
Oh, well, I'm not in a good place right now.
What does that mean?
Well, I have this problem, and I'm hoping to get it resolved. I really appreciate you talking to me.
Let's go at it, kid.
Well, I've heard you talk about people that stay at hotels and then later on dispute the charge with their charge card.
Yeah.
Well, we stayed at a bed and breakfast, and it was in Stowe, Vermont, at the peak foliage season. So we're
going to see the reds and the greens and the blues and the rest of it.
And it was beautiful, except for our accommodations, which were $250 per night, and it included breakfast and dinner, and supposedly the honeymoon suite. Well, this place...
Were you on your honeymoon?
No, we were on our 5th year anniversary.
Oh, just a little romantic interlude.
Just a little romantic getaway.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't turn out that way. This place was awful.
Was that good, huh?
It was awful. The food was terrible. The service was terrible. The accommodations, it looked like they hadn't cleaned it or done anything since the 50s. It was awful. So... We had to pay, though, because we had to stay 2 nights.
Well, wait, no, you didn't have to stay 2 nights.
Well, we looked around.
Well, wait a minute now. You didn't have to stay. You could have gone back home or gone somewhere else. You didn't have to stay. The first night, I'm on your side. The second night, if you decided to stick around...
We would lose the deposit.
What deposit? How much did you put down?
$100.
Well, how could you lose that? You ate that up on the first night.
Well, they told us that, and then, the $100 deposit, and then they would still charge us for the room night if we canceled.
Oh, dear. Now, you see, you can listen to that, and they can say they charge you, but charging is one thing, collecting is another. The fact that you stayed for the second night weakens your position, in my opinion, rather dramatically. And did you eat their food?
Yes.
The second day?
Yes.
Oh, well, now your position just is you're a tower of jello.
Well, we couldn't go anywhere else.
Why not?
I mean, the only place would be to go to somewhere that was completely unacceptable, and then we would still have to pay the $250 plus the $100 deposit.
Oh, well, I wouldn't have.
Well, we ended up paying the two nights.
So that's $500.
Right.
Yeah.
And we had the $100 deposit that we had paid months in advance.
Okay, so you paid $400.
Right. So the bank is now saying, you stayed there.
That's
exactly what you said.
Yeah, the bank and I are right on the same wavelength. If you'd have walked out if you'd have stayed, look, I got there at 10 o'clock at night and it was cold out and there was that's understandable. You were stuck with a place.
Yeah.
But the next day that you hung around, shame on you.
Even if you would lose the deposit.
Honey, you wouldn't lose anything. You'd pay him the $100 deposit, and you'd pay him the other $150.
Right.
You'd say, I'm sorry, fellas, see you in court. And that's all you would have paid. You might even have to take a little bit off if you could substantiate all the stuff you're telling me. But the fact that you stayed a second night, I think you just shot yourself right in the foot.
Okay.
I really do.
Yeah.
And it would appear that at least somebody else sees it kind of like I do.
Well, yeah, and the bank they're saying that we already used up the service. That's their...
You did.
Yeah.
See, the first time, look, there's a very, how old are you, lover?
30.
Well, there's an expression that you're old enough to understand and probably have heard. Yeah. And I will paraphrase it so we can keep it for a family audience, okay?
Okay.
You stick me once, it's your fault. Stick me twice, my fault.
Yeah.
Do you understand what that means?
I sure do.
Okay, well, they stuck you the first time. That's their fault. That was night number 1. But if you stood there and become a stucky the second night, that was your fault. Really was.
Okay, so there's nothing that, not even a portion of it we get.
At this point, I would write it off and say I learned something.
Okay.
I know it's not what you wanted to hear. How are the leaves, at least?
Oh, they were gorgeous.
I'm glad the leaves were good.
It was gorgeous. It was worth the trip.
I'm delighted to hear that much anyway.
Yes.
Hang in there, baby. The 10th anniversary, one night alone.
Thanks a lot.
Take good care. I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around. This is Talknet. We go to Wausau, Wisconsin. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce. How are you?
I am just fine, thank you.
It's Bury up here.
Bury? How about 35 below, like Fairbanks?
No. We won't be whiny about that.
Not that Bury, huh?
No. Well, Bruce, I think I've done something stupid, but I think I'll run it by you anyway and see what you think.
Talk to me.
About a year ago, I was working for a gentleman whom I adored. He was the greatest boss in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And my husband relocated here to Wisconsin, and I left.
You say, I'm sorry, Charlie, I'm staying with the boss.
Yep, you bet. At any rate, my boss's, or ex-boss's father-in-law was in the clock restoration business and had retired.
Ex-boss's father-in-law. All right.
Okay, and the father-in-law would periodically come into the office, and at one point I had asked him about an old antique grandfather clock that belonged to my husband's grandmother. And he made an appointment to come to my house, and he looked at the clock, and he gave me an estimate of $300
to do what?
To get the clock running. Now, this is where I think we have a problem, because all I wanted him to do was get the clock running. And in his mind, he was restoring it.
You mean the cabinet as well as the clock? Or just the clock?
Let's put it this way. When he came to the home, I told him this clock was up and, was standing up against the wall, and we had it tied to the wall as a showpiece because it's about 200 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And he looked at it and he said, yes, I can repair this. And he was pointing to certain things on the cabinet. He looked at the face. He looked inside at the movement.
Mm-hmm.
And so he took a good look at the clock.
And what was your understanding?
That
he was going to do what?
Well, that he was going to get it running.
Get it running.
And he gave me a verbal quote of $300.
300 beans, all right.
And I said, great. Now, the fact that he was my boss's father-in-law was a plus. The $300 seemed very reasonable to me, and so I didn't pursue getting anything in writing.
No, I would probably have not either.
Okay, so he did explain to me that he and his wife go away for the winter, that I could take the clock to his home and his son-in-law would let us in, and that's what happened. So last April, we took the clock to the house, and my husband and I then moved to Wisconsin.
Where are we moving from?
Illinois.
All right.
And the clock...
it's right next door.
You bet. It wasn't too far of a drive.
Okay.
Anyway, the clock stayed with this gentleman throughout the summer. And at one point, he did call. Now, I did tell him when I dropped the clock off, I left a note and told him there was no hurry, that I was not in a rush for this, that he could take his time and not feel pressured to get it done. We never heard a word from him until July. And in July, he called my husband, and he told my husband that there was a door missing where the moon dial was. There was a door missing, and did we want a new door made? And my husband said, sure, go ahead. And that was all that was said.
That was enough.
That was all that was said. Then, in October, this past October, he called me, and he proceeded to tell me that it was the worst clock he'd ever worked on, and so on and so forth.
Why was it the worst? You mean the most difficult,
yes,
perhaps?
It was the most difficult and the worst shape. But I said, Paul, what do you expect for a 200-year-old clock? It's not going to be in the best shape.
Yeah.
At any rate, his quote went from $300 to $900.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very gracious on the phone, and when I hung up the phone, my husband went through the roof. And my husband then decided that he would send a letter asking him how the door could cost $600. The door of the clock. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Went from the $300 quote to $600.
I'm with you so far.
So we sent a letter, and the letter was asking him to explain himself and how he could justify raising the initial estimate like this without consulting with us, without telling us. Apparently, he did send the letter back. My husband read it, and he stated that he had to order parts from around the country, that obviously we don't understand about clock restoration, that it's very involved, and that we can't possibly appreciate the amount of hours that went into him.
He's probably not romancing you either in that regard.
No, I bet he's very, I imagine it was a lot of work.
Sure.
If he had told me up front that it was going to be a lot of work, or if he had called me between April and October and said, listen, ma'am, this is a mess. This is going to require extra parts and whatnot, extra...
Yeah, but I'm not saying he is correct, because I don't think he is. But on the other hand, suppose he called you after, you dropped it in April and June or July, and said, well, I just took the clock apart. It's cost you $300 for that, because I spent a great deal of time doing this, and at whatever the hourly rate we've shot your $300, it's going to cost another $6. Shall we spend it? You'd been caught between a rock and a hard spot at that point, wouldn't you?
Well, I think I think we would have probably said yes. Only
I'm sure you would have.
We would have been able to prepare for that.
Well, I see.
And this was a clock that wasn't something we just picked up somewhere. It's
No, that's exactly so, and it's probably worth a heck of a lot more since he worked on it.
Well, and I think he probably knows that.
Well, yeah, we both know that. So where are we going with this? You got a $900 bill, right?
We have a $900 bill, and he wants payment in full with a cashier's check and the whole bit.
Oh, yeah, because he's afraid you're going to try to stick him now.
Well, I bet he'd like to have the clock. He could probably get a lot of money for it if he
I'm
sold it.
sure he would.
So he'd end up making a lot more if we...
I think you're going to have to pay him.
Do you?
Yes, ma'am.
I kind of thought that myself.
Now, if you want to go, first of all, let's sort this out just a little, shall we? Sure. I think that he acted somewhat irresponsibly. But we're not talking about John's clock service here. In other words, this is not a business that routinely gives out estimates on repairing clocks and so forth, is it?
No,
it's a retired guy that does this in his spare time and whatever. Well, I think.
Well, no, he did it for 20-some-odd years.
But not anymore, though.
Right.
Not anymore.
Right.
And I think you'd have a little different standard to apply to someone like that. It would seem to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it's as much in a situation of this nature incumbent on you to spell out the ground rules. For example, your choice of terms was get it running. Now, I think that he should have said something right at that intersection, because those were not good. I don't mean it this critically, but it was not a good choice of language. Would you not agree to that?
I agree.
At this point, you see.
In retrospect, I should have probably, whether he was related to my boss or not, I should have just had something in writing.
Well, the writing thing isn't worth a hell of a lot. We keep getting back to the same thing. Something in writing is only as good as the two people that enter into it. The only advantage is that you can demonstrate what was said. But he's not arguing the fact that he said 300. Not from what you told me.
It's his word against mine.
But wait a minute, he's not saying that he didn't say 300, is he?
No, he's not.
He's just saying that it got a lot more expensive than he anticipated.
Right.
There's a difference there, you see.
Right.
Frankly, I know you don't like it very much, but assuming that the 200 and some odd year old grandpa's clock was properly, we're still at the interior now, properly done.
Well, that's the other thing. He wants us to send a check before we even see the clock.
Well, why don't you just get in your little car? You just told me it wasn't very far away.
Well, it's about 4.5 hours.
Oh, well, is it worth 4.5 hour drive?
I guess, but do you pay for service before you have it done? I mean,
Well, wait a while. He's saying at this point, I don't think I trust you, lady.
And I think that's terrible. I was a great employee.
That may be, but you didn't work for him. And you're screaming from 3 to 9, understandably so. Now, you get your paws on the clock, the same old man that was blowing his stack before is just liable to say, well, I don't care if it is your ex-boss's husband or father-in-law, we ain't going to pay. Right?
Yeah.
That possibility, I think, exists anyway. I don't know your husband, and we're certainly not picking on him, right?
No, there's...
So if I was in the other guy's socks, I'd be doing the same thing.
You'd be nervous.
Oh, I would be nervous. I'd be holding on to the clock till I get the money. But I think from your perspective, I don't know how you're going to haul a grandfather's clock in your station wagon or whatever.
It's going to be tough.
Yeah, it is, because you can't, but they don't lie down too well.
No, they don't. Originally, when he agreed to do this, he had friends in Stevens Point, and he and his wife were going to bring it up because, quote, he insists on always installing the clock.
Well, then why don't you call him and say, you got the $900 cashier's check, but you come on and install it.
Well, I could do that.
And see what he has to say about that. But I wouldn't make this a cause célèbre, and I'll tell you this. If you're anything at all like me, you're going to really enjoy that clock now that it works.
Oh, yeah, we will.
I had one done here not too long ago that belonged to my parents. And I really enjoy that thing. I can imitate the strikes for you. I will not bore you so, but...
Did you have it restored?
Yeah, I had the whole thing done. I had the interior done. Matter of fact, I had the cabinet done by a good friend who is very good at that sort of thing. And I remarked to him and to my children that I don't even remember the different colors of the clock, because by the time I was old enough to remember this thing, my mother had slapped so much wax and stuff on it. Serious. It was one color.
Yeah.
She continually, and there's inlay in the clock that I didn't even know existed until he stripped it and started all over again. So I had it in 2 stages. I had the case, the wooden part, done by one guy, and I had the interior done by a clockmaker.
That's great. And did you pay a lot of money for it, Bruce?
I don't know if it's a lot. I don't even remember the numbers. It is not as old as yours. It's probably 100 years old, and what it's worth is not really material because it's never going to be sold.
That's right. That's our feeling.
But it was not inexpensive, if memory serves me, but it was certainly money well spent from my perspective.
Well, I'm anxious to see it, and we probably will. Well, my husband and I will probably argue about it, but I'm sure we probably will pay the amount.
I bet
my
you
husband's
do.
real ticklish about the principle here, but I think
there are times,
now we've learned a lesson.
There are times when principle has to take a backseat to pragmatism, huh?
You bet.
I do wish you well.
Thank you, Bruce.
Enjoy your
Christmas.
clock. You too.
Thank you.
I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around. This is Talknet.
We've been dealing with one of the owners who is also a broker. Okay, I know you always say get a lawyer, but let me explain what we're going in. We'll go from there. They are saying the sales price of the house is $64,000. Okay, we are going to be putting in $1,000 cash. They are going to give us $5,400, in allowances that we are going to use as the down payment. He said we could convert those to cash.
What allowance?
Like for landscaping, decorating, and all that stuff. Like wallpaper. We don't want wallpaper in it, so he's going to give us that in the form of cash for a down payment.
This is kind of creative. Go ahead.
Okay, that's what we call the creative financing.
Well,
in addition to that, at closing, he's going to write us a check for $7,000 to consolidate some bills that we have. That is all part of the deal. This is on paper, and we will, and he has agreed to it.
Stacy says, give me a house too.
That's what I wanted to hear from you, exactly.
No, I didn't hear from me. I heard it from Stacy.
Stacy, oh really? The problem is her mom feels that she needs to make sure that she can afford it on her own, just in case something happens between her and...
Well, I think that's reasonable. She's absolutely right. Let's.
Okay.
What they're doing is they're not giving you anything. Let's start with that, all right?
Okay.
How the condo is worth what the net amount you're paying for. You're just Mickey Mousing around, pardon the expression, because you're in Orlando. But you're screwing around a bank. That's all, the lender.
Right.
That's what you're doing.
Right.
Well, so all this is just a lot of nonsense.
Right.
How much is that condo actually worth today? You said you're paying how much?
I went down to we're in Orange County. I went down to the tax collector's office and looked at the tax assessment, and I also looked at the appraisal.
Neither of those things mean anything.
The appraised value is $64,000, and we will, in essence, after everything is said and done, be paying net $48,000.
Yeah, but you see, the appraised value is meaningless.
Okay.
I don't know how many ways to say that.
Okay.
It wasn't the appraised, by the way. You're talking about the assessed value.
The assessed value.
Well, there's a big difference between assessed and appraised. Do you know the difference?
Yes, I do. The appraised that they do and assess is something they do for tax.
That's exactly right. Big difference. So what you ought to take a look at, this is brand new, you said.
Okay. Yes, it is.
But you ought to take a look at what condos or townhomes, whatever, of a similar style, composition, whatever, are selling for in the neighborhood.
We've done that already.
How much?
They're selling for about $64,000, and they go all the way up to $81,000.
I don't believe it.
I do.
Not when you're. How come he sells to you for 40-something? Does he love your fiance?
Okay, I see what you're saying. No, okay, I did that homework too. There are some older ones across the street, and I called the real estate companies that they are listed through.
Yeah.
And they are 52 for a two-bedroom and 55. I'm sorry.
That's what they're. Don't be sorry. That's what they're listed at.
Right. That's what they're listed at.
Listed doesn't mean anything.
Okay.
What do they sell? I want them to take a look at what's called comparables. See what has sold, where somebody actually spent cash money. You see what I'm saying?
Okay,
I've got an apartment I paid $133,000 for. I heard one sold the other day for $82,000. What's it worth? The $133,000 that I paid, or the
$82,000?
Damn right.
Okay, that I did check into that too, and I checked in what's called what an Omni report is.
Mm-hmm.
And the same exact one that we're looking to buy sold for $61,500 4 months ago.
I don't believe it. Sorry.
It says in the Omni report.
Yeah, but we're the same thing. It was highballed the way they're highballing it for you with all these deals. Do you see what I'm getting at?
Oh, I see what you're getting at. Yeah. I see what you're getting at.
I think that you're being snookered. Let's start with that. With all this nonsense, and we'll loan you $7,000 for this. Now, how much does your girlfriend make?
She makes about $19,500 a year.
Forget about it.
But she does have a second source of income.
What's that?
That's about $800 a month.
Doing what?
She works for me, basically.
What happens if she loses that job?
That's true.
Or you guys decide to go split city.
Mm-hmm.
Or you die.
Got life insurance on me.
And but is she the beneficiary?
Yes, she is.
Is she really?
Yes, she is.
What's her insurable interest?
No, I don't know about that.
I don't either. Can you do that? Just name anybody an beneficiary? I don't know the answer to that. I guess you can.
Mm-hmm. Well, she is. I went down and took care of that when we were engaged. Because we were supposed to be married sooner than we were, and we put that off, but that's another story.
Well, it really isn't. It's part of the story. If I were advising her until you put the band on her finger and made it legal, where you got some legal responsibilities as well as moral responsibilities,
right?
I wouldn't get involved. But more important, the deal sounds very you see, I think you're trying to do what's right. Let's start with that, all right? But I think you're being there's so much smoke being blown in your face about loaning her the money and the wallpaper she's not taking and all that sort of garbage. The fact is that unit that she's buying is only worth in the 40s someplace, not in the 60s. And if she tries to sell it for any reason, she's going to sell it in the 40s, not the 60s. People are not that gullible. Do you see where I'm coming from?
Yeah, I see where you're coming from.
And the only reason this guy is doing this, well, you tell me in the few seconds here remaining. Why do you suppose he's doing it?
Well, he does want to build more, and I think he needs the finance.
Oh, he desperately wants to unload is the answer.
Right.
When you're willing to do all this kind of stuff, he wants to unload that unit.
Right.
And he can't sell it legitimately on an arm's length. Hey, come on in, kids, go to the lender and borrow some money. Because if he could, he wouldn't be going through all these convolutions. Does that not seem reasonable?
That seems reasonable.
Okay. Given that, I don't know how you properly evaluated a deal that's as convoluted as this. Now, if you told me that she was buying it at 42, making 19, I'd say spring. But she's going to be buying a $42,000 unit for 60-something. Admittedly, she's going to walk out with some extra cash and the rest of that, okay?
Right.
But when you're all done and said, I think you're getting taken.
Okay.
I think you'd do better just going legit.
All right.
I wish you well, kid. I don't mean to rain your parade.
Well, this is kind of what I expected from you.
Well, because I think it's true.
Oh, I'm not disputing you.
That's all I can do.
I trust your judgment. I
just my opinion, nothing more.
Yeah.
Take good care, kid.
Thank you.
I'm Bruce Williams. Yeah, raining on everybody's parade today. This is Talknet. Ski and Sheila Jaskett, the co-conspirators, pilot and co-pilot respectively, or the other way around, I don't know, along with Big Bill Lally in the background. Yeah. Nice bunch of people. Oh, Nancy Murray? Yes, she kind of holds things together for us. It's been a good hour, kids. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Hello there. Thank you so very much for your patience.
Hi, Bruce. How are you?
I am fine, thank you.
Good. I'm calling because last year at this time I purchased a doll for my son, who is 3 now.
For your son. That's got a lot of guys going right there. Right there. Oh, dear, yeah.
Well, it's
better a doll and a gun, I know.
It's one of these animated talking dolls.
That makes a difference.
Yes,
An animated talking doll. Yeah.
And has tapes and books and clothing and all of this.
Oh, my God. Got news for you. I buy dolls for me. I do. I have dolls.
They're fun.
I have dolls from all over the world that I picked up here and there, truly.
Well, this year I went to buy some new tapes and found out that they have changed the model.
Oh, my goodness.
They made it smaller so the clothes don't fit the old doll.
You bought your 3-year-old kid an outmoded doll.
Right.
You rascal.
Well, I didn't know it was outmoded. Last year it wasn't.
Well, naturally not. That was last year.
So this year
you're too young to know who Vance Packard was, aren't you?
Oh, I understand about the Packards a little bit.
No. You know, Vance Packard was an author.
Oh, okay.
Vance Packard was an author who wrote about the throwaway society. And boy, he'd be. I think he's dead. I think they buried him, so I suspect he is. Maybe not. But in any event,
he'd love this one.
He'd love this one. That's right, because the instant. What's the term I'm searching for? Obsolescence here.
Yes. So now my question is, I have talked to the company. They've indicated what they did was recall all the old stuff.
Did they really?
And they have it in supply, and until it's gone, they will make it available by mail.
Well, isn't that nifty?
Well, that's real nice.
That's generous of them. Otherwise, they got to eat it. I mean,
well, and that takes care of the fact I can get what I need this year.
Well,
but I had planned on this being a toy that would last for 5, 6, 7 years. I have another on the way. I figured it would continue.
How old are you?
Oh, 32.
You're old enough not to believe in a tooth fairy, aren't you, really?
True. I am.
7 years. Well, of course, Barbie and Ken were around a lot longer than that, and people were buying stuff every year.
They're still buying clothes for them, and they still fit. And they're
sure.
And had the doll just been totally discontinued, I could say, okay, fine, they discontinued it. But to change it to a model that no longer will allow the old models to use the new
material, and they're going to be flacking it on TV,
right?
And your kid's going to say, "I want one of those for my whatever this guy is."
Right, and I can't get it.
Maybe you better start from square one, huh?
Well, I guess one of the things that I'm interested in is how can I make others aware of this, because you may have a new person buying one this year, and maybe in 2-3 years they're going to make that one up.
Well, I don't think you can.
Well, how about...
Well, for example, I bought something here not too long ago, about 2.5 years ago, and it was not inexpensive. It was, and it's also, it works probably in some ways better than the one they got, but nonetheless, it is a unit that you have built into a piano to turn that into a reproducer, as contrasted with a player piano. In other words, it has all the nuances and whatever, right? It's a tape system. But they went to a solid disc here last year.
Right.
I just found that out tonight when I talked to somebody. All of a sudden, I got an obsolete piano, which is only 2 years old.
Right.
And we're not talking about the price of a doll here, baby. We're talking about a major league investment.
Yeah.
But from my perspective, it still plays the piano just like the new one.
Right.
And those are the things that are going to happen when you buy something.
Well,
what do you do when you buy a car and then they've had the same model for 3 years, and the next year's model is a dramatic difference, and all of a sudden you look like from your perspective, perhaps not yours personally.
Right.
You're driving an old car. Happens.
Right. Well, I understand all that. I guess I'm just interested in making, whether it's through newspaper editorials or other things, of making the company aware that they have really not considered the parent.
Oh, I think they've considered it very nicely.
To their profit.
Absolutely. Well, there's nothing wrong with profit.
It doesn't cost as much. The clothes don't cost as much, and they charge the same price.
Well, now you're a very smart lady.
Sure, I understand.
You reduce it by 10% in size, and what I am surprised that they didn't find some way to make the smaller one with the expandable pants or something where so that there would be some kind of compatibility, or at least extend the line for a time. But I don't think what they've done is criminal.
No.
It's a sort of thing that happens. Well, I guess. Maybe I'm out of the kid toy.
You don't have a 3-year-old, right?
No. But I mean, I've had. Well, look at. Can we get serious for a moment?
Yeah.
Look at the difference in just 11 years. 11 years ago, if you bought a luxury car, it had an 8-track in it.
Right.
Then the 8-track
became obsolete.
Became totally like the dinosaur. If you talked about an 8-track, they looked at you like you're crazy because cassettes were the thing.
Right.
Right?
Now it's the disc.
Exactly, and disc, and who knows what'll be next year.
Right.
So I don't know. And you could say that's conspiracy too, I suppose.
Well, I think that's technology.
Well,
and I think that's a lot different. The same thing with improvements in cars. I think that's a lot different. There isn't anything that's technologically better about the new one.
Well, I bet they would argue that.
Probably, but there isn't.
What can I tell you? I'm trying to make you feel better, and you're sitting there, you're beating my brains out.
Yeah, well, that's okay.
Well, there's only one last thing here. I got to let you go, right? Maybe you got a would-be collector's item here because it's been discontinued.
Because it's
No, you think I bought? No, seriously, be serious. I have to turn you loose, okay? I bought. I hate to use the word life size, but that's what it comes down to. A marionette that's exactly the same size as they use when they produced Pinocchio. That's pretty good size. I mean, it's the size of a small kid.
Yeah.
Now, that was manufactured under the Disney label and so forth, right? But they have changed the name of the company. I think it's from Disney Productions to something else, all right? That made the thing more valuable all of a sudden. Because even though you can buy it, you can't buy it with quite the same label.
Right.
So now it's worth more money. So who knows? You maybe have look how much the original Barbie is worth today.
Yeah.
This may put this kid through college. or at least through one day of preschool. I don't know which. I do wish you well, dear.
He doesn't get mad before that.
There you go. I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around. The absurd on Talknet. We go now to Dallas, Texas. Hello there. You know, I was thinking before we go to Dallas, think of all the things that became collectible. Billy Beer, Classic Coke, Crayola crayons when they changed the color. Hey, who knows? This lady may have a fortune in some kind of a doll. Hello, Dallas.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi, thanks for hanging in, kid.
Sure, I enjoy your program. Listen a long time, first time caller. I've got a little problem you might be able to help me with.
Go ahead.
In 1982, I bought a existing national real estate franchise.
I'm sorry, say again?
An existing national real estate franchise.
Yeah.
Okay. I've operated under this franchise for 8 years. At the time I bought it, in the area was another franchise by the same company, same national organization.
Yeah.
2 years ago, the other franchise went out of business, dropped the franchise, but continued real estate under their name.
Can you do that?
Well, not using the franchise. Okay, yes, they can continue.
In other words, look, I'm going to use the name of a specific company, making it very clear, even if it is, it's not that company, all right?
Okay.
Fair enough?
Yes.
But one that probably everybody's heard of is Century 21.
Okay.
Now, you're operating under a name like Century 21, so's the other guy.
That's correct.
Then he drops out of the system,
yes,
but he continues to use that name?
Well,
wait
a minute. He discontinues calling himself that,
yeah,
but he continues to advertise in the yellow pages of the telephone directory as Century 21.
Well, how can he do that? I mean, I can understand how you can do it till the one ad runs out because you can't recall a phone book.
No, he did and then renewed the ads and ran them again. He's been 2 years doing this.
I mean, I would be complaining to the franchisor.
I did, and they said, send us documentation, and we sent them documentation, and they said they would turn it over to the legal department. They came back later and said, our legal department determined that it was not big enough issue for us to go after.
Well, I would...
If you want to sue, that's fine, but we won't protect you.
Is that right? Let's make it very clear. I use Century 21 as an example.
Yes.
As contrasted with this, not the company. Understand, not the company.
That's correct.
I just wanted an example. I don't understand why they would adopt that position. I really don't.
Well, do they not have an obligation to protect me?
We got to go back to your contract with them. You see, you're buying a label, and you have a rather extensive, it probably is about the size of a Manhattan telephone book contract with them, right? Well, have you, either you or your attorney, perused that very, very carefully?
Well, they're looking at it now.
Well, that's because the answer is in that volume. What their responsibilities are spelled out.
Okay.
And that's where, I mean, I don't mean to be, that's where the answer is. I think we both know that.
Well, they tell him that they tell me that they told him.
Well, I wish I could go on with you, my friend. I'm Bruce Williams for Talknet.
Write it down.
We go back to the Midwest, to Dayton, Ohio. Hello there. Welcome to my world.
Hello.
Hi.
Well, we have a problem with our landlord.
You don't.
Yeah. We rented an apartment when we first came to Dayton. My husband's in the military. There was an ad in the paper specifically aimed at, he's going to school here, and specifically aimed at the students who were starting out at the time in his class.
Dayton, that's Air Force, right?
Yeah.
Warner?
Air Force Institute of Technology,
Yeah.
Wright-Patterson.
Wright-Patterson, that's the place. Okay.
Yeah. And he came in with a whole bunch of other students, about hundreds of them at the same time. This place said, you know, welcome the active students.
Yeah.
Okay, so we came here and we signed a year lease. This program was 18 months, a little over 18 months. And we said we didn't know whether we were going to be stationed here after that time or whether we were going to be moving someplace else. We put down a security deposit, and at that time we discussed with the current manager at that time that, you know, we would She said it would be okay after that year when we found out whether we were going to stay here or not. We could renegotiate the lease or whatever, and military clause is fine, everything like that.
No, wait, slow down. What's a military clause?
A military clause is that you can break a lease.
If you're transferred.
If you're transferred.
Yeah, I just wanted to get that on the table. I know what it is.
Right, but we had a year lease. We didn't even need to do that because we were here for 18 months. At the end of the year, we came back to them and we told them that we still didn't know whether he had orders to any place else. We'd know in about a month or a few weeks.
This is after a year?
What?
After the 18 months, you mean?
Yeah, after the 18 months. But after a year, our lease was up.
That's what I meant. So you're on a month for the next 6 months, was that?
Yeah. That's exactly what happened. I mean, they just said...
That would be perfectly okay.
That's what we thought. They said, okay, tell us whether you'll be month to month or whatever. We found out that he was going to be transferred. At that time, again, we told them when we were going to be leaving. We told them we'd be leaving mid-December, and they said, okay, that's fine. A little over a month ago...
Slow down now.
Yeah.
Wait a minute now. Ordinarily, were you leasing from 1st of the month to the 30th?
Right.
So if can you leave in the middle of the month like that?
Well, that's what we've done in other places.
But that's a gift usually.
Well, we told them, they said, at that point, they said that was okay. They understood that. They didn't tell us anything different.
Right.
A month and a half ago, we come back, we tell them exactly what day we were planning on moving. We give them a letter stating where we're moving to, where to send our security deposit, and ask them...
They want you to pay for the whole month of December.
Yeah, but at that time, a month and a half ago, when we still could have changed our mind or gotten the movers to come earlier or something, we asked them how much we would owe them. Yeah. They never responded anything to us.
How did you ask?
We wrote a letter. We gave them a letter.
Here's the thing. What I'm trying to get to, we're getting it's getting a little complicated here. You're in a month-to-month tenancy, right? Mm-hmm. You have an obligation to give them then 1 month's notice,
right.
1 month in advance in writing.
Right.
But it's ordinarily first to the end of the month, not mid-month.
Well, it doesn't say anything like that in our lease.
But it's understood.
Well, it wasn't understood in other areas.
Well, but other areas of where?
Oh, in California we've done it, in Illinois.
We see what you've done doesn't necessarily make it correct.
Uh-huh.
And ordinarily, leases run from the 1st of the month to the end of the month. And you're ordinarily obliged to give 1 month's notice. If you want to leave on the December 31st, you got to tell them by December 1st, on or before December 1st. And you can't split a month unless they want to let you.
Okay, but they didn't tell us anything about not.
I'm well aware of what you're telling me. I understand that. I'm not going to tell you that you can't win it, but I'm just telling you customarily, despite your experience, leases run from the 1st to you moved in on the 1st, didn't you?
We had the option. We had the option of when we wanted to move in.
But you did move in on the 1st.
We just happened to move in on the 1st because that's when we could get the mover.
But you and most people.
No, actually, we see people all the time over here moving in the middle of the month.
That doesn't mean they didn't pay from the 1st, though.
So we should just not pay them anything and tell them to take it out of our security deposit.
Well, you can do that.
Yeah.
That's not what security deposit's for.
Oh, I know that, but I mean, obviously we don't want to, at this point, we were willing to give them half a month, and if they're going to take it out of our security deposit, we're thinking they might, they know we're moving out of state. They know we can't.
What are they holding? 1 month's security deposit?
Yeah, they have one month and $5,
All right, so it's 1 month.
Yeah.
And you haven't paid them December rent yet?
No, I was,
that's a yes or a no. You haven't paid them the December rent.
Their office was closed. I went to them.
Hold it. You haven't paid them the December rent.
No, I haven't. Not yet.
In that case, if you don't pay them the December rent, they'll keep your security, and that'll be the end of that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess that's probably what we'll do.
That's about what it comes down to. But just understand that, and I'm perfectly agreeable with being corrected, but I think you're going to find that when you move in on the 1st of the month, if you'd moved in on the 15th, this could be argued, you see. But you had a month-to-month extension of a 1st to 30th or 1st to 31st month lease. And that's when it terminates, unless agreed upon by both parties, and I would think in writing.
Okay, well, then I guess we just won't clean the carpets and let them eat that.
Well, no, that's not very smart.
Well, they can't.
They certainly they can do a number of things. Among other things, the military is fairly public relations oriented. And if your old man CO comes rapping on a wood and says, "Listen, I want you to send a check," is he not going to send it?
I don't think he'd really care.
Who? Your husband or the CO?
Yeah, my husband. My husband's wanting to, he's going to be leaving the military soon, so I don't really think.
Is he enlisted or officer?
Officer.
Well, maybe.
They're doing plenty of reductions, and he doesn't like his next assignment. So.
Where are you going?
California.
Uh-huh. Well, if it were me, I would leave the place clean.
No, I'm not saying I'm going to leave it a mess. I'm just saying I'm not going to bother getting the carpets clean.
Okay. Have a good trip, kid.
Okay.
Bruce Williams. Can't win that one. This is Talknet. We go now to Dennis, Massachusetts. Hello there.
Hi, how are you?
I'm okay. What's a Dennis?
Well, we run an ice cream parlor, and it's our first year. And we had a mortgage for about $300,000 to cover buying the business.
Wow.
And startup costs.
$300,000. Did you get that from a private lender?
We got it from, I'm sure you don't want, no, we got it from a bank.
Did you really?
Yes.
300 G's. You must have had something going for you.
Well, they also hold the mortgage on our house.
Oh, you use the house for collateral.
Basically.
All right. Well, not basically. You use the house for collateral. Scratch basically.
Well, as it is, they hold all our equity, and we'd like to refinance the loan for $340,000.
You need an extra $40,000, in other words.
Yes, for the winter season, or else we just won't have any money. Because
you're looking for operating capital is what you're trying to borrow.
Yes, we've got to do a little remodeling. And we're having a problem because no one will accept the loan. Everyone keeps refusing us. A few banks in the area.
Well, wait a minute. How much is your home worth? Let's go to that first.
I'm not quite sure right now.
You got to give me some idea.
Well, it's right on the water.
Well, you see, how much do you owe on the home right now? Let's do it that way.
Hold on just a sec.
Oh, we're digging through the papers.
Yeah.
You don't know what your mortgage is on your house?
Well, I don't have it in front of me. I haven't really been thinking about it lately.
Those are the things you got to think about.
Just trying to pick through the papers because there's a pile of bills.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the number. Okay. You're going to have to get this all sorted out. You have to know whether you have a negative or a positive worth. And I suspect what they're telling you is you have either a negative or close to negative worth right now. Given that set of conditions, nobody's going to loan you any money. Not unless they love you. Do you have a family that can help you out?
No, not really. Nobody really has that much money.
How'd you get yourself this deep? You bought an ice cream parlor for $300,000?
Well, we bought an existing building with a lot of equipment in it at an auction, foreclosure auction.
For how much?
For $300,000.
Well, what made you believe that? Why did it get foreclosed? Let's start with that.
I believe either it was a foreclosure or the lady who had owned it died, and she was leasing it out.
You said it was a foreclosure. Why did the last guy fail is what I'm trying to get to.
All businesses have failed there, and I'm not quite sure why. They've all been restaurants.
What makes you believe that you're going to pull something off everybody else didn't pull off?
Well, they were all restaurants, and there's two restaurants right there which have been there for a good time.
Yeah.
And the north side of the Cape doesn't have an ice cream parlor.
Maybe because it didn't need one.
Well, from the first year of business, it looks like we've been doing pretty good.
How much did you do?
Probably about $10,000. $10,000, $20,000.
Oh, what?
For the summer.
$10,000 for the summer, and you paid $300?
I don't have everything in front of me, so I'm only estimating from what I know. Let me just.
Well, I unfortunately we can't do an audit here on the air. But if you only did $10,000 in the summer and you invested $300,000, you're up to your eyes, and yes, you are. And I don't think anybody's going to extricate you. What you should do is sort all these numbers out. And if you like, you give me a call or sit down with a business consultant, because I think you got a serious, serious problem, my friend. Not the least of those is these are numbers which I'm involved in one or two more things than you seem to be. And I'm no special businessman, but you can bet your life I can regurgitate those numbers instantly off the top of my head, what my mortgages are, what my assets and liabilities are. And you're going to have to do the same thing. You got to get a handle on things. But if you made all $10,000 profit, $300,000 is worth $30,000 a year at 10%. Just the investment. I think you got trouble. I wish you well, kid. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. It's the time to go to Lafayette, Louisiana. Hello there.
Lafayette, Indiana.
Oh, Indiana. Yeah. Excuse me. And that was my fault, not hers. It's all my fault.
That's okay.
Let me say it again. Lafayette, Indiana.
And you were here not long ago.
Yes, I was, and we had a delightful time.
I heard it was great. I missed it, but I heard it was great.
Well, I'm delighted. I'm sorry we missed you, but I'm glad you heard good things.
Yes, okay.
What's happening, kid?
Well, I have a question. We have an account with an appliance retailer here in town, and the billing has evidently been done through a bank owns and services the account. Okay.
A bank owns the account?
Well, yeah.
It might be assigned to the
well, okay.
Or maybe the bank is carrying a paper. I don't know.
Evidently. Well, when we get the billing on it, it tells the name of the bank, and then it also says MasterCard.
On top of the...
Uh-huh. But
the bank may be a MasterCard issuer.
That could be.
That's the Interbank Corporation, yeah.
And see, we have no card that actually says MasterCard on it. The card only has the name of the appliance store on
it. That's the only place it's good, then.
Right, correct.
It is clearly not a MasterCard.
Right, even though the billing says so. Okay.
Well, maybe, as they said, that the bank also, if you read it very carefully, is an issuer of MasterCard. Does it also have Visa on top, too?
No, just the MasterCard. And on the card that I carry in my billfold, it just says account serviced and owned by such and such a bank.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Anyway, my question is this. This has been an open account because we had bought something not too long ago.
And paid it off?
No, we had not paid it off. We were still paying on it. We were actually doing it for a friend of ours.
One of those, huh?
Well, yeah.
You're a nice guy, yeah.
Well, she hasn't been able to reestablish credit after her divorce. So anyway, that's beside the point. The account has been an open account that we've been paying on monthly.
Mm-hmm.
I went in there today to purchase a Christmas present, and I didn't have cash, so I said, well, I just want to put it on my account for right now. And I happened to have the stub with me from my last, the half of the bill, okay, that I get in the mail each month. And so they could get my account number and everything. Well, when I did that and they checked it, to make sure that it was indeed a good account. The bank that holds this said, well, that's an outdated account number, but they went ahead and said just update the information like employer and so on.
What does that mean, an outdated account number?
Well, see, I don't know, except that it used to be held by, say, bank number 1, and now is held by bank number 2, okay? So I don't know if that is why they said that or why bank number 2 is saying this is an outdated number.
I have no idea.
Yeah, okay. So I said all they wanted was updated credit information as far as where we worked and so on. So I gave them that. I came home. I got a phone call from the girl that had sold me the microphone.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Swinging into the Christmas season. I don't know about your part of the world, but the Christmas lights are popping up all over the place. One of the things I think is really cool, all right, when someone has enough money and, it takes money and time. Take a tree, a deciduous tree, now all the leaves are gone, and just literally cover it with those little tiny white lights. There's a building a couple blocks from where I'm sitting. It's the building where the Guggenheim Museum is housed. No, is that the Guggenheim down the street here? I believe it is, on 52nd Street. Yeah, that's Guggenheim, I believe. What is it? The Whitney Museum. Excuse me, the Whitney Museum. They have the trees, and they're all the tiny little lights on them. And it's just up and down the block, and it's really the prettiest sight. Very expensive thing to do. It really is, put all those lights on the tree, but boy, it is outstanding. We begin the festivities in Norwalk, California. Hello there.
Yeah. How do you do, Mr. Williams?
I am doing very well. Mr. Williams, aren't we formal? My goodness gracious. Yeah.
Yes, I'm calling on behalf of my former wife, and it concerns damage to her automobile.
All right, well, it's nice of you to call for the former wife.
Well, she just won't let go.
All right, well, maybe she's a nice lady. What do you think?
Okay, she lives in this large security apartment building.
She lives in this building, yeah?
Yes, and at nighttime they hire an independent guard service to patrol the premises.
Right.
They also have a group of young people that likes to gather out in the parking lot at night and drink their beer and smoke whatever kids smoke and get into mischief.
Are they people that live in the building?
Most of them are not. Very few of them live there.
Mm-hmm.
So this one night these youths decide that they're going to play throw the brick. And one of the bricks hit my ex's brand new car.
Mm-hmm.
That set off the alarm, which woke up the guard, and he come out. So did some witnesses who actually saw what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And they told the guard, these are the kids that were throwing bricks.
When you say kids, how old are these people?
Late teens, early 20s.
Okay, then they're legal adults then.
Yes, young adults. The witnesses indicate these kids were throwing bricks. This is the one that hit the car. We have called the police, and the police are on the way. And the guard says, okay, you kids get out. I don't want you in here. By this time, my ex-er comes out, and she said, wait a minute. The police have been called. I want them held here. And the guard says, I don't. Get out. And he escorts them to the door, and they disappear into the night. Now, her question is, because the guard chased these people away and denied her the opportunity to prosecute them and seek damages from the guilty people, could she take a shot at the guard service and the guard in small?
Well, first of all, she probably has insurance.
Well, it's just slightly under the deductible, so the damage.
How much is the damage?
About $480.
Just $500 deductible, huh?
Yes.
I suspect that she might have an action against the guard, the guard service, because why did he throw them out? What is his excuse for that?
We have no idea. He never explained why. He just said, I don't want you kids in here, and he escorted them to the door.
And he was asleep at the time?
Well, no. I mean, that was just an expression. He was sitting up in the office watching TV.
Indeed. It would seem to me that if you knew who threw the brick and the police were on their way, and they did arrive subsequent to that time, and she asked that the kids be kept there, I think that maybe they're vulnerable.
Oh, very good.
I don't know. That's not a legal opinion. I'm just a layperson.
Yes, I understand.
But I can't see why. I mean, and now if you said to me, she said, hold that kid, and the kid ran, no, I don't think he has any responsibility to tackle him.
No, huh?
But to take a positive action and saying, get out of here.
Yes,
something wrong with that.
Well, the kids weren't gone. They were stoned out of their mind. I mean, he had to help them out.
Oh, I think that I would think that the guard service may be vulnerable here.
I think you're going to put a smile on her face.
Well, that's only a thought, though.
Yes,
I do wish you well.
Thank you very much.
Take good care.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, you got to wonder what's going through some folks' minds. I think his probably was saying, let me get them out of here because they were doing damage, and that was my job to keep them out in the first place. But that's another program. I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around for more. This is Talknet. We go to Pueblo, Colorado. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi.
Last month I took a trip to the east, and my final destination was Fogged In, so I was laid over in Newark.
You were going to Fogged In East, huh?
Yeah, Plattsburgh, actually.
Plattsburgh, New York.
Yeah.
Huh? So you laid over in Newark, huh?
Yeah, I have a sister who's a captain up there at Plattsburgh Air Force Base.
I see. Wow, you had to salute your sister. That's terrible.
Yeah, right.
Go ahead.
She's even younger than me. Worse yet.
That's, boy, I'll tell you.
Anyway, I got a voucher, I guess, travel voucher from the airlines for $50 on a future reservation.
Why was that? Because you were fogged in? Or did you take a car or something from Newark?
No, this was after the fact, just, I guess, because they want to keep me as a customer.
Oh, it was very nice of them, because nobody can control the weather.
Yeah. No, I didn't ask for it.
Yeah,
they
that's
just
nice.
sent it.
All right, they say you get a $50 discount on the next trip or something.
Right, but I don't fly too much.
Well, that's nice.
And it does say it is transferable. You know, I can designate a person to take this.
Well, give it to somebody.
Well, my sister already has reservations. She's coming down for Christmas.
With the same airline?
Yeah, with the same airline. But her ticket's one of those where it has a thing at the bottom that says 100% penalty with, you know, refund or for exchanges or change.
You can't use the voucher on that if that's what you're going to ask me. The ticket's already been issued.
Yes.
I don't think you can use it. Not this time.
Okay, I thought I heard you say before on a ticket like that, if they could get a better deal.
No, that's a different matter.
Oh.
If you go out and buy a ticket for $10 from, pick a place, Denver to Newark, for example.
Right.
And then that airline advertises a sale for the appropriate time period for $8. You can go down and you can get a new $8 ticket.
Okay.
That's a different matter.
Yeah.
Not in this instance. Say that you'll be coming east again.
Okay.
I mean, you don't have to have a passport.
Yeah.
And you might not even get fogged in this time.
Right.
Take good care, Kate.
anyway.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Off to go now to Clovis, California. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce. How are you?
I am just fine,
I'm
thank
a long-time listener, first-time caller.
you. You're a nobody, huh?
I'm a nobody.
All right, nobody. What's on your mind?
I have a small problem. Like your opinion on it. Just recently moved from Illinois out to California and couldn't find a house right away, so we got an apartment. My husband and I have 2 small children. And we found a house and getting ready to move out, and we had a water leak. Woke up one morning and our carpet in both our closet and our kids' closet were wet. And
This is in the apartment?
in the apartment.
Yeah.
And it did some damage to some of our stuff, and I notified the manager right away, and they came in and pulled up the carpet, pulled up the mat, and they said that it was leaking from the roof down the walls, inside the walls from the roof, which I didn't think it was. I thought maybe it was a hot water heater. Anyway, they brought in fans and heaters, and I put them on and to dry out the carpet in the both rooms.
Sure.
And the next day there was standing water where we had pulled up the carpet and everything.
I mean, it got worse instead of better.
Yeah. And this time they said, oh, it's not the roof, it must be the hot water heater. Okay, so they fixed the hot water heater. They said it was the pop-off valves or something like that. Anyway, I asked the manager, who's liable for my stuff that was damaged.
What was damaged?
I had boxes of clothes, boxes of trophies.
Trophies? What are you trophies?
Well, we moved from a 3-bedroom house into a tiny apartment. And
I was just thinking, what are you getting? What are you earning trophies in? That's what I was trying to get.
Oh, track and field. My husband and I in college.
How nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, those are irreplaceable. I mean,
Of course.
there's I don't know what kind of value we could put on those, but
Were the trophies destroyed?
no, just water damaged, water stained. There were some certificates that were in frames that were just
Oh boy. Yeah, it's too bad.
But there's less than $200 damage, and I called my Allstate agent, and he said, there's nothing we can do, but he recommended taking them to small claims.
You could do that.
My question is, I don't want to go if I'm not going to win.
Well, wait a minute. Let's go back to track and field.
Okay.
Did you always say, unless I can win this meet, I'm not going to compete?
I tried to have that attitude. I didn't know.
In other words, you wouldn't.
Didn't always win, but
No, what I'm getting at is you wouldn't play unless you could win? I don't believe. No, maybe I phrased it. What I'm trying to say is, did you always say when I'm out in the field, unless I can win, I won't run?
No,
No, of course not. Well, it's
I
the same.
enjoyed competing.
Well, the same thing. Well, that's true too. But what I'm trying to get to is that there are a lot of situations in life when you can't be assured of winning, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't play.
Right.
And I think this is one of those situations.
Well,
I can't guarantee that you're going to.
yeah.
I mean, I couldn't guarantee, no matter what it is, because you never know what's going to go through a judge's head or what's going to happen before you get out of a courtroom.
Well, the owner, the people that run the complex say that I'm responsible for any damage.
Well, they can say what they wish,
Yeah.
but until such time as a court rules on it, we don't know if that's right or it isn't. Now, are you asking me would I go? Why not? Now, there is another investment here, and that's your time. You realize that. You could be tied up for half a day.
Yeah. Well, I don't work, so I'm
I mean, you're not gainfully employed. With
Right.
2 kids, I got a feeling you're working.
yes.
Got you covered. I'd go for it for me.
Yeah. There was one more thing I can think of. On the contract that we signed, it said that if we are negligent due to wrongful acts that we cause and our stuff is damaged, then we're liable. Wouldn't the opposite be true?
I don't know that, but you certainly make that point. You see, small claims court is, in most cases, it's certainly a legal environment, but the rules and logic is relaxed over a higher court. And I think, I don't know if this is true or not, but I'll bet you if you file a claim, they're going to come talking to you. It's cheaper for them to come talk than it's to go to court.
Yeah, I called.
They got to send an attorney. The attorney's going to charge them over $200 to go.
Yeah. Well, when I called the owner, he said, "Be my guest," to go to court.
Well, then, never say it to anybody unless you mean it. Then be his guest and go.
Yeah.
Good
Okay.
luck. Good luck, sweetheart.
Thank you, Bruce.
Anybody time somebody says, "Do what you got to do," do it. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. We go to the Metroplex. It's Dallas, Texas time. Hello there.
Yeah, it's Bruce.
Hi.
Yeah, how you doing today?
I am very well, thank you.
Good. Listen, I got a question to ask you here. I just recently moved from St. Louis, Missouri, down to Dallas.
Everybody's moving. This lady moved from Illinois. You're moving. What's wrong with me? I'm not moving today.
Well, I got out in time because they were claiming that earthquake going on there soon.
Oh, that's true. That's true. That's true.
Anyway,
don't hold your breath.
Yeah, you never know though. I just recently received a personal property bill from the Revenue Service of St. Louis County, personal property taxes.
Right.
And I had lived there in January of 1990, and I left in April of 1990.
All right.
And for one of my cars, and then I left in May of 1990 for my other car.
How can you leave at a different time?
I knew you were going to ask the question.
Even I'm smart to guess that.
I left 1 month before my wife did, with a car, and moved down to Dallas, and then I went back later and got her, and then drove the other car down.
Okay.
Okay. They sent me a bill claiming that I have to pay personal property tax in the amount of $261 for personal property on automobile taxes.
Is that for a whole year?
Yes, that's for the whole year, and they will not prorate any of these taxes.
Well, it may be the law. I don't know this. I'm just supposing. Fair enough?
Yeah.
It may well be that the law in Missouri says if you're here on the 1st of January, that's considered to be there for the whole year.
Right. I did call them and asked them about this, and but this is what they said. But they also threw in that anybody who comes after January 1st, they don't have to pay anything for a full year, which I thought was really...
We're back to the same thing. That's reasonable. You can catch it on one end and lose. It's very much like when you start withholding taxes now. Now, maybe it's a bad example. I'm thinking about this. There are let's leave it at this. We'll say it another way, okay? There are situations now where if you owe $294.49, you pay $249. But if you owe $249.51, you pay $250. You round it to the nearest dollar.
Okay.
So in some cases you're going to win, and some you're going to lose.
Yeah.
Well, the same thing is true here. If you move in on the 1st and move out on the 2nd, you'll lose. If you move in on the 2nd and move out at the end of the year, you're a winner. I'll give you another example in my state. Commercial plates, unlike passenger plates, expire at different time of the year. They always expire at the same time of the year, where passenger plates are if you buy them in July, they expire the following July, right?
Right.
Okay. If you are in the, let me see, how did it work? I used to figure this, used to gall me every time. That's what it was. If you were in, let's say, the Christmas business, and you had trucks only used at Christmas time, right?
Right.
You only paid for 6 months licenses because they began in March. So you had March, April, May, June, July, August. Okay? If you renewed your plates in September to the following March, you only pay for 6 months. So if you were in a business where you only used your trucks for 1 month a year, in December, you only pay for 6 months, right?
Right.
But if you're in a business like I was in, where I used them in July, I had to pay for a whole year. It just, some days you win, some days you lose. But there's a logic there. Rather than horse around with he moved, she moved, when they moved. If you're here on the 1st of the year, you pay. It's hard to argue with that.
I guess the only thing is, if I ever want to win that battle, is that I move back a day after January 1st.
There you go.
If I ever go back, and then I have a whole free year.
Exactly. Pardon
me?
Tell you what, hang on for a second, okay? I hate to end a conversation like that. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. And the WIBC Morning Team. I'm talking to a new denizen of Dallas, Texas, moved from Missouri, was unhappy with the personal property tax. Don't blame him, but pay the taxes. Now, you were starting to say something, and I was running out of time.
Yes, I had spoke to them also, and I called them up from Texas, and they had said that they will give me up to 6 months after the due date to pay this with a 2% per month interest charge.
It's only 24% a year.
Yeah, my gosh, if we could all do that, would be great.
Well, I'll tell you though, a lot of government agencies and local municipalities, are charging much higher interest rates than they used to charge, as to encourage people to pay their taxes on time. There was a time, again, in property taxes, particularly commercial property, in an area where I have an interest. Okay,
right?
You'd never paid to pay your taxes.
Yeah.
Because you were borrowing money from them for 4, 5, 6%. The penalty, in other words, was 4 or 5 or 6%. Well, it's better not to pay them, owe them, and instead of going to the bank and borrow money for 12%. Well, so now they charge you like 20% or 20, in this case, 24%. Pays to pay them and stick somebody else. That's all they're doing.
Yeah, and then on top of that, they do charge you also another 2% penalty on the total amount. Then.
It seems to me that you might be better off to pay the $2 in this case.
Right, I understand.
I think I'd send them a check.
Okay.
Otherwise, you want to go home and visit the in-laws, you may be in serious trouble.
Yeah, I thought about that too. I might have to pay a real big penalty at that time.
Spend a little time in a slammer.
Right.
I do wish you well, kid.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Well, I guess nobody likes to pay taxes, and no one finds any tax that taxes them equitable. But the idea of having a fixed cutoff date does have something to recommend it. And there's no arguments as contrasted with, well, I just moved out on the 15th and there's got to be cut off someplace. I think it makes sense. Although personal property taxes, I think in a lot of ways, deserve some reconsideration. I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around. This is Talknet. Taft, like the former president. Taft, California. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi.
Bruce, I've never been out of college before, and I got out of high school 17 years ago.
All right.
And
first of all, I'm going to have to ask you to raise your voice just a little bit.
Sure. Through all those years and different businesses that I've been associated with, I always kind of regretted not going to college and thought I'd like to be a teacher. And now I'm at the point in my life where I said, if I'm going to be a teacher, I'd better get down to it and go back to school or go to college and do something about it.
All right. Can we review just a little bit? What have you been doing for this 17-year period?
I've been in the restaurant business, supervising restaurant chains.
Chains?
Yeah.
You've done pretty well then, huh?
I've done real well. I've got to a point where I really can't climb much further unless I own one myself.
Is that a possibility? Or would you want to own one yourself?
Don't really want to.
All right. Let's scratch that idea. What would you like to teach?
Well, I think really just general education, elementary school.
GE. Yeah, I have a degree. I have a GE degree.
Yeah, I love to be around children. I think there's a real need for it.
Okay. Are you married, single, what?
Married. Wife works, have a couple of kids.
All right, fine. Do you have a little money stashed?
Yeah.
Are you prepared to work nights?
Yeah.
Well, then why don't you go back to school? I think it's a great idea. I wasn't quite as old as you are, but I was out of school for high school,
Sure.
Let me see. 7 years.
Wow.
When I went to college.
Yeah, see.
And also I was married.
But my thoughts are that I might take a couple of, maybe for one semester, the rest of this year, take some class at a junior college, trying to get my feet wet again.
Well, the only reason I would suggest that to you is that even when I went back, and that was only 7 years, not 17, it was a little awkward there getting back in harness again and paying attention and taking notes and all of the things and registering. Boy, I'll tell you, are you going to find some frustrations there? And all of the things that go along with picking up and getting back into school. So to that extent, I think it's a good idea. But having said that, I really believe that if you're going to do this, get to it. You must be 27, something about 33, 32?
Oh, 34.
Okay. There's no point in wasting any more time than is necessary, it would seem to me.
Yeah.
So get on with it. And interestingly, you have selected an area. For a while there wasn't a whole lot of money in teaching. I'm not going to take it rich, but there's a whole lot more money than there once was. And B, there is a demand for teachers, and that brings me to another point before I let you go. Well, I understand the idea of being a GE major, General Elementary.
Mm-hmm.
If you have the ability, that's a big if, all right?
Okay.
But if you have the ability for any of the sciences or math, you will increase your employability quotient geometrically over GE.
Okay.
Or maybe a minor in one of the sciences. In other words, if you can teach physics or you can teach math, you can teach some of the biological sciences, there's just a much bigger demand for those folks in education. Now, given that, since you're doing this to make a living, if it's possible, I don't even know if you can major in one and minor in the other. I don't know that.
Right.
Or if you could pick up a dual competency. I don't know the answer to that either.
Do you know, short of CLEP tests, any way to really streamline the process? Because I intend to go to school full time through summer, the whole 9 yards.
When you said through CLEP, I'm not sure what you mean.
Well, I understand there's something called a CLEP test, which is a test you take to get credit.
Well, you get credit for life experiences and that sort of thing, you mean?
Yeah, and this you actually take a test, and if you pass the test with a certain percentage, then you get credits in that area, be it English or math or sciences.
I'm not even familiar with that. I've heard of, I know what you're talking about, but I'm not familiar with the nuances and don't know the answer to that. There are, depending on where you go to school, there are more and less generous, what's the term I'm looking for? Credit for this kind of thing, all right? But you can knock off 4 years in 2.5 to 3.
Okay.
By going summers. And there are some schools on the tri-semester plan as contrasted with 2 semesters. And these are all considerations that I think you want to take into account, because time is not your enemy, certainly.
Yeah.
But it's not your ally either.
That's for sure.
So the idea of going to junior college to some extent has something to recommend it. Because you may decide, I can't put up with 4 years of this stuff.
Right.
On the other hand, I'm not sure you want to throw away a whole lot of time.
Yeah, I don't want to put much time, but just really to kind of get me back in that mode.
Well, more important is to decide whether you can hack it as a student.
Yeah, that's true too.
Good luck, kid.
Thank you very much.
It's amazing. Really, now I don't know, certainly there's nothing scientific about a program such as this, clearly. But it is kind of amazing how many people call that have good positions, that are making decent salaries and all that sort of thing, but they still, in the back of their mind somewhere, there must be something better. There must be something else I can do. There must be another mountain I can climb. And tell you the truth, I think that's terrific. I really do. The track system like they have in Japan, where you go to work for a company when you're 19 and you're going to be there the rest of your life, that's just one step above jail as I see it. Minneapolis, hello there. Your turn.
Hello, Bruce.
How you doing?
Good. First time caller. I like your show.
Well, I'm delighted. You're another nobody, huh?
Yep. I listen to you on my school bus.
So, on your school bus?
Yep.
You drive it or you go to school?
I drive it.
Okay. What's happening?
Okay. I got a coat in California. It's a pure wool coat. I needed to take it to the cleaners because it had some dirt on one of the elbows. I fell down. And it's pure white, pure wool. I told the cleaners that there are special instructions to follow, and they said no problem.
Oh, hold on. What, you told them what?
That to make sure to read the special instructions in the coat.
Oh, there's a label on there.
Correct.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, she said no problem, they always do.
Naturally.
Got the coat back, and there were yellow stains all over it, highly visible.
Lovely.
And I took the coat back, talked to the owner, and first they retried cleaning it and didn't do anything. And took the coat, and I talked to the owner, and he wanted to take and send it to a chemist. Okay, and I said, sure, no problem, and we agreed that it was his fault.
We agreed. Clearly you thought it was his fault. Now he's agreeing with that, huh?
Correct.
All right.
Anyway, they were going to send it to the cleaners to a chemist, but they never did send it to a chemist because I guess you have to be a member with this chemist place somewhere down in the southeast part of the country.
So it never got sent. So now what?
So now he's willing to pay $75, and it's a $150 coat.
Hold on now. How old was the coat?
The coat's not quite 2 years.
I don't think that's unreasonable.
Okay, I just call him to
So, you had the use of the code for 2 years.
Yeah.
And he's willing to pay you 50% of the cost. I don't think that's unreasonable. And you get to keep the code?
Yeah, I do.
Why don't you have the code died?
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
I don't think that's unreasonable.
Okay.
I really don't.
All right, super. Thanks much.
Take good care, my friend. I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around for more. We'll give you what we hope is the very best of conversation radio. We call it Talknet. Surprising how many I guess you call them complaints we've had about cleaners. And while I can't believe the cleaners are all wrong, I've never understood merchants that aren't willing to say, look, better we should eat, even though the person's wrong or not quite reasonable. I never understood that. Never understood that. You don't stay in business arguing with your customers. Off we go to Dayton, Ohio. Hello there.
Hello.
How are things in the Midwest?
Just fine. I have a question. I had a payroll check cashed at a bank on Friday, and the teller gave me my money and everything.
This is the check made out to you?
Yes, for where I work at.
All right.
And on Wednesday, the head teller called me the following week and told me that they had paid me $60 too much.
How did they determine that?
Well, I said, I don't think so. I said, the teller counted my money out to me, and I don't think I have any extra money. And she just paused.
Can we back up just a little bit?
Okay.
How much is your paycheck?
The total amount?
Yeah, the net amount, the amount you get.
Okay, it was like $416.93.
All right, $400 plus.
Okay.
Did they pay in 20s?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just curious. There's a lot of bills changing hands here.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So they called on Wednesday, and I told her this, and I said, I don't think so. And she just paused, and I said, are you sure? And she said, yes. I said, well, I'll be in Friday. Well, I got to thinking. I went home at noontime, and I checked my money, and I had like 4 50s, and I had like 8 20s, which I did have some money taken out. So I called the head.
What do you mean? What do you mean you had some money taken out?
I took some of my money out. I spent it over
Oh, you took the money home and stashed it somewhere.
Right.
You didn't have the whole $400 in your pocket, is what you're saying.
Well, when I got home, I did. But
yeah, I understand that. But then you laid the money and you put the money in the drawer or something.
Right. Okay. And so my 4 50s, which she gave me, was still there, and I had 8 20s. Okay. And then I was thinking, I said, I don't think I have any extra money. So I called the bank manager and asked him why it took so long to get in touch with me when this happened on Friday. And I told him that I had been at the bank by approximately 9:10 that morning, so I had to be one of the first.
Come on in Richmond until 10 o'clock.
Oh, my goodness gracious. I'm a pumpkin by that time, right?
So I've been waiting around trying to get in touch with you.
What's on your mind?
Got a problem. My son went to Texas several years ago.
Yeah, what part of Texas?
Kyle, south of Austin.
Okay.
And he was working for a large company down there, so he purchased a home. He was single. He purchased a small home down there.
All right.
Met a girl, got married. Her home was in New Orleans, or Louisiana, so they moved to New Orleans.
All right.
Now, this was September a year ago. He's trying to sell his house in Texas and cannot sell it.
Yeah, things are a little tight.
They are. He paid, the house was about $62,000 when he bought it, and it was new. And the last market analysis done in September of this year, the value is $29,000 to $31,000.
Mm-hmm.
Has bought another house in Louisiana, and I'm on the mortgage on that one.
You're on the mortgage?
Yeah, just so he could get the loan. Because in other words, he hadn't sold his other house, and in order to get a new loan, I had to sign for him.
Mm-hmm.
So we're both jointly owning the house in Louisiana. And presently, he owes about $54,000 on the house in Texas. He has talked to the loan people down there, and they say as long as you're current, we don't even want to talk to you.
That's nice.
They sold the loan now to another company, and he's been in touch with them trying to get some, because frankly they have a new baby now, and the new house is one salary just won't take care of all of it.
Mm-hmm.
And they finally said, well, we'll discount your payments by $50 a month for a year, but it's going to cost you $400 for us to do the paperwork.
They'll do what?
In other words, they'll cut his payments by $50 a month for a year to give him a chance to help him out a little bit financially, But it's going to cost him $400
for them to redo the paperwork. So they're going to give him $600, off of his payments for a year, but it's going to cost him $400 to do it. And I'm just wondering, what happens if he just quits paying on the house in Texas?
Well, what do you think?
Well, they're going to sell it, but will they garnish him for the rest?
They're going to come after him for what's called the deficiency.
And what, take him to court?
Taking him to court is not the big thing. I mean, cut through that, yes, there's some legal requirements that have to be met, but that's easy enough to do. Let's take some real numbers here, shall we? How much does he owe in the house?
$54,000.
And how much does how much would the house sell for tomorrow morning? Literally, realistically.
29 to 31 is what it was appraised at the market analysis.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Okay. He's going to be stuck for $20,000, probably $25,000 to $30,000. Right. Now, is this FHA, VA in any way federally guaranteed?
No.
HUD, nothing?
No.
What's going to happen is they're going to get a judgment against him in all likelihood. And either he has to pay it or go personally bankrupt. That's the alternative, really.
I was wondering if he went personally bankrupt, what would happen with me being on the.
Oh, I forgot that you're on a mortgage.
Oh,
I forgot about that.
Not in the one in Texas now, but the one he's living in now.
Well, forget about the one I'm not worried about that one. That's not in default, is it?
No, neither of them are in default.
Well, but which one are we letting go? The one in Texas. That's what I thought. The reason you had to sign on the one over there because he was extended too far.
Right.
But one does not affect the other, only to this extent. If for some reason the house he was in now suddenly became worth a ton of money, there's a good chance they put a lien against it to try to recover if and when he sold it. Mm-hmm. But if they come after him, chances are he'll have to discharge it through bankruptcy.
One thing I failed to mention was that he's got the house rented at this point.
Yeah.
But it's right now he's getting getting $100 less than what his payment is.
That's $100 negative cash flow.
Right.
But on the other side of that, he is probably recovering a portion of that from the government through depreciation and whatever, is he not?
Right, and taxes.
Yeah.
All this kind of stuff.
Well, given that set of conditions,
just try to hold on to it.
Maybe, let's put it this way. He's not going to be any worse off next year. Those houses are pretty well bottomed out. I think we both could agree to that.
Right.
He's no worse, as long as he's got it rented. I'm glad you mentioned that as an afterthought because it's pretty significant here. And he's only got to reach what's he earning a year, this guy?
40.
Only reaches into his pocket for $100 a month before taxes. I would hang on as long as I could. Because, there's not a question in my mind this real estate's going to come back.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when. 5 years, 10 years, I don't know. But it's going to come back. And if he can rent it for that little bit of a shortfall, I wouldn't go broke at this point. I don't see any purpose to it.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Good luck, my friend.
Appreciate all that.
There's some other variables here too. We should remember here too. If he's building up assets, he makes it more difficult for himself to go bankrupt as we go along. Just another variable to consider.
Okay.
Take good care.
Fine, thank you.
It's a shame that so many people have been caught in this tremendous real estate correction, because that's what it is, because so much of this real estate, including stuff that I have purchased, was just so grossly overpriced that really what's happened is that the property is now being brought back into the real world. But if you, like me, bought at the top of the market in some cases, whew. I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around. This is Talknet. Cincinnati, Ohio, home of a killer station, Wiki. Hello there.
Well, hi there, Bruce.
Hi. Hey, my kid just got done working in your town.
Oh, is that right? Where was he working?
Well, Craig is across the river. What's the name of it in Kentucky there?
Coving.
Pardon?
Over in Coving?
Yeah, he was playing the piano over there in that redevelopment area they got going.
Oh, where the new hotel and...
I'm trying to think of the name of the joint. Howl at the Moon Saloon.
Oh, I'm sorry to say, I don't think I know where that is.
Apparently it's a smashing success from what I gather.
Well, if you sit at Riverfront Stadium and, you can see that new development across the river, and it's really beautiful. The whole area is lovely.
That's what I'm told.
Yes, you ought to come in the summertime. You can really thoroughly enjoy it and see a game with the Reds.
There you go. What's on your mind?
Well, I really have a great appreciation of your grasp of so many things, and I really wanted to ask you for your opinion, if I could. I did a really dumb thing.
Me too. Many of them.
Me too. Well, this one cost me a little more than most of the other ones did, though. But in 1984, I was looking for some financial advice, and several friends had gone to a broker at a well-known brokerage firm, a very reputable firm, and recommended this gentleman, so I went to him, and I don't know whether he saw me coming or what, but anyway, I did invest in a few things with him, and I knew
what kind of things?
Well, I bought an annuity, and that has proved to be, a pretty good investment. And he wanted me to do some things with stock, which I did not do, and I'm kind of glad I didn't now. And the one thing that he offered me was a limited partnership.
Yeah.
And so I took the bait.
What kind of a limited partner?
Well, it's
real estate?
It's called an oil and gas completion program.
Okay, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
And it was supposed to provide income, capital preservation, and a tax shelter. And it was also supposed to be very low risk and
low risk.
Low risk. That was the way they advertised it. They were dealing with a bunch of very conservative investors, and I was near retirement at that time, and he knew that. And so, I said, I don't want to get into anything where there is, a chance that I would lose my money.
How much money did you put in?
I put in $10,000.
Okay. And
so, of course, we all know what happened to the oil and gas industry. And over that time, since 1984, I have received approximately $5,000 in distributions from this.
How much tax benefit?
I honest to goodness couldn't tell you. Those tax forms come, and that was another thing. I used to be able to do my own income tax form, and after I started getting those K1s, K2s, or whatever it was, I had to go to an accountant because I never could tell you what was going on it. So I'm sure that probably whatever I lost wasn't worth what I had to pay the accountant to prepare the income tax form. But in any case, this summer they decided to dissolve the partnership, and they exchanged our partnership shares for shares on the on the stock market. What I'm for shares.
What are they worth?
The last time I looked, they were worth like $9.50 a share.
How many shares? I mean, how much is your stake?
My stake right now is about what it's worth is $3,000 on the stock market today.
You didn't do as bad as you're probably pretty close to even, except for the interest the money would have lost.
Exactly.
Well, not so bad.
Probably realized maybe $8,000. Of course, this is 6 years.
Yeah, plus the tax benefits.
Yeah, well, maybe it's not as bad as it sounds then. Well, what happened is that a group of these partners have gotten together, and they are suing the
general partner.
Well, no, they're suing the brokerage firm.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, it's, actually, the brokerage firm, I don't want to say too much, but they have changed names. They've been assumed by somebody else.
All right.
And they have...
on what basis are they, I only have a few seconds now. What
okay, well, it's like the racketeering law, because they claim that they...
RICO law.
They purported this to be something that it was not.
Okay, how much do they want for you to contribute?
Well, they want $400 as a
what is the possible? All right, let's I only got a second now. What's in their opinion? What's the possible return?
Well, they would get our money back at the whatever the difference is. They would also get interest for the 6 years.
Well, for $400, it might be worth a shot. If it's worth, I don't know how good the case is. For $400, I'd probably take a shot. I wish you well. I'm Bruce Williams for Talknet. Pigeon, the WIBC morning team. We go to Art Schreiber's bailiwick, Albuquerque, New Mexico. I had a great weekend there. It was the weekend before last. Hello there.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you, Bruce?
I'm fine. I had a great weekend in your town.
Well, most people do.
Yes, indeed. What's on your mind?
Well, I got a problem that I can't seem to resolve, and I just thought I'd try to get your opinion.
Let's talk.
About a year ago, well, it was at Christmas time, bought a couple computers from a major computer company.
All right.
And at the time,
Christmas gifts, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bought two computers and was buying a printer along with it. And at the time, there was a rebate being offered, and with the purchase that I had, it was around $200. And at that time, salesman talked me into buying the second printer, and I would get a $400 rebate. And the second printer was going to cost like $450. So, you know,
the net cost of $250.
Pardon?
The net cost would be $250.
Well, actually, I'd get a $400 rebate.
Yeah, but on that particular printer was $200, right? And you had $200 coming from the other printer.
Right.
Yeah, but okay, so the net cost of the second computer was going to be $250.
Okay.
Or the cost to you if you use both rebates, $50.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Either way.
Whatever. Anyway, the total rebate that I was to get was $400.
Right.
And the total of the package, everything I got was in the upper half of $6,000, you know, almost $7,000.
Wow.
With everything that I bought. And comes down, I sent the rebate form and all the stuff in I was supposed to, and I waited and nothing happened. So I started checking on it, and they started checking on it.
Who's they? You mean the vendor?
The computer company.
All right. The retailer, you mean?
Yeah. No, the manufacturer.
Oh, okay. You wrote to them and told them to look into this.
Well, no, I called them.
All right. Contacted them. How's that?
Okay, great. And anyhow, eventually it came down to they couldn't find anything. And then I also contacted the people that I bought it from. And they said they were going to look into it. Well, they couldn't come up with anything.
What in the world is so complicated here? The vendor says, yes, this guy bought whatever was required. What beyond that, what is necessary? Why couldn't you just, instead of looking for this huge paper trail, why not just do it all over again?
Well, that's my problem. I have contacted the company directly by phone and got as far up as I could get. I kept trying to get somebody, you know, a supervisor right on up. I got as far as I could and got stymied.
Maybe I'm missing something. Forgive me. Why didn't you just go back to the guy who sold you the computers and say, solve this problem?
I did.
What'd they say?
They said they couldn't do anything.
Why could they not do anything?
Because it was up to the manufacturer.
You say, no, I'm sorry, fellas. You guys are the ones that offered this rebate. You're the ones who sold me the stuff. You're the guys who took my money. Now, I don't know if I'm going to win or not, but I'm going to sue you. And then do so.
The people that sold the computer.
Absolutely. They're the ones you talked to.
Yeah.
They're the guys that said, Mr. Jones, if you buy these two computers, you're going to get a $400 rebate. Is that not correct?
Yes.
You did what you were supposed to do. Is that also correct?
Well, yes.
You did. You filled out the coupon. You filled out whatever paperwork was required, or did you not? Maybe you didn't.
Yes, I did.
All right. And you sent it in the approved manner, like through the U.S. mail, I assume.
Yeah, but see, the problem is they say they never received it.
Fine. But what is maybe I'm missing something. Why not say, look, okay, let's assume you didn't get it.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a new form. I'll fill it out.
Yeah, I've got receipts. I've got everything they want, except what it boiled down to when I talked to the manufacturer, they said, I don't have proof that I mailed the form in.
Well, so, what is there? Is there a time element here?
Well, yeah, it had to be mailed by, I forget the exact date, but sometime last January, which it was mailed.
Yeah, but you didn't tell me that.
Okay.
So they're hanging their hat on the fact that it wasn't received in a timely fashion. Is that the case?
That's right. They're saying they never received my rebate form.
Did you, I'm not sure you can answer this, and I can understand why you would not be able to. Was there anything in those rules, regulations, forms that you were given, right? Mm-hmm. That said send this stuff certified mail or in some way retain a receipt for proof of mailing?
No, that wasn't on there that I saw. And according to them, because I asked them, I said, well, the only way I would have had proof that I mailed it was either if I had sent it certified or if somebody took a picture of me mailing it.
Right.
And they said, well, no, but you could have sent it that way, but it wasn't a requirement to send it certified.
Fine. It wasn't a requirement. Then an ordinary person would send the thing through the conventional U.S. mails, which are reasonably reliable. Very reliable, as a matter of fact. What I'm trying to get to is I don't think they can legitimately adopt the position that you didn't do what was reasonable. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And there's nothing in the rules and regulations that stipulated you had to send it certified mail.
Right.
And so let's face it, I don't think I mailed anything today, but certainly yesterday I mailed about 20, 30 letters. I have no way of proving I mailed those letters. A lot of them had checks, and some of them were time sensitive things. If you don't pay by a certain date, there's extra charges and so forth.
Right.
I don't have any receipts for all. What am I going to spend? What is it, certified letter? About $1.35 now or something in that order?
$1.85, something like
Why would I spend that when I spend a quarter?
Mm-hmm.
And you're a reasonable guy. Why would you? Of course, the answer is you shouldn't. Now, my position would be real clear, and I wouldn't screw around. I would send a letter to the vendor and saying, I spent a lot of money in your store. I did what was required of me. Now, you guys have a lot more influence with this organization than I. But my position is I dealt with you. You made representations. I did my part. And your company didn't respond. So unless and until you get this done, I'm going to give you 30 days more. Then I'm going to take whatever legal action is necessary to protect my interest. And that means you're going to name them as the defendant in a small claims action. Now, you say, well, I may not collect, I may not win. But the point is, that company, that store that you dealt with, is going to have to send their attorney down there to defend them. That's going to cost more than $400 to get that sucker through the door.
Okay.
All right? And you also name the company that manufactured the computer. They're going to have to send somebody down to defend themselves. Because otherwise they lose by default. Now, I don't think they're going to send down and spend $800 or $900 worth of legal talent to beat you out of what you were entitled to begin with.
Okay.
Now, that's what I wouldn't mess around with this anymore. You're more patient than I would ever have been, which means that you're much more of a gentleman than I.
Well, I've been pursuing it from one angle everywhere I can, call them back and forth.
Well, I wouldn't call back any forth anymore. As I said, you have exhibited more patience than I think would be required of you. I write the one letter, make it short and sweet. I've been too verbose.
Okay.
And then take them and name them, meaning the salesman that sold you the thing, his employer, as well as the manufacturer, as separate defendants. Let them try to consolidate the matter. Let them spend some money. I think you're going to find they're going to start saying, listen, let's get this guy out of our hair. Because you're asking for nothing more than that you're entitled to.
Well, that's the way I feel.
Indeed. We agree. I wish you well, kid.
Well, I thank you, and you're always interesting and fun, Bruce.
Thanks very much. Don't let them off the hook.
Okay.
I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around. This is Talknet. Kennewick, Washington. Hello there. Welcome to my world.
Yeah.
Hey, what's happening, buddy?
Oh, quite a bit. I had some vinyl siding put on my house. To start with...
What kind of siding?
Vinyl.
You mean vinyl?
Vinyl, yeah.
Okay. Vinyl. I'm thinking, all right, go ahead. There'll be something new in this world.
Pay attention to what I say, not my pronunciation.
Go for it. No, I just want to make sure we're on the same wavelength here. Go.
Okay. And to start with, I got in an argument with the salesman. He comes to the house. We answered the ad in the mail and all that, and it's our deal. We signed the papers.
Well, why were we arguing?
Well, he wrote right on the contract I signed he'd get me financing so much a month for so many months.
All right.
And I called, and finance company called him and says I wouldn't sign the papers. And he says, call me back and says, why? You agreed to it. It says on the contract you will furnish everything they need. And I says, I have, but I won't sign the papers because it's over what you wrote down here.
Well, let's sort this out a little bit. What is it that they What did he say? What did he say he'd get you? I guess that's what.
Well, he was doing the financing, and this isn't really the problem, but it just made him mad to start with. That he wrote on here 120 months of approximately $230 a month.
Yeah, approximately.
Yeah, approximately.
$230 a month.
But it was way over that.
Well, tell me how much over.
$900 and some over what he agreed to do the job for.
Was that including the interest?
Well, this is just to run the payments over the...
No, wait a minute. We have to separate things just a little bit here, I think.
All right. Well, he went ahead and paid it.
Paid what?
The difference, so it'd come down to what he wrote on the contract.
All
but
right.
that made him mad.
That's interesting. All right, go ahead.
That's just to start with. That just made him mad.
Oh, now we have an angry salesman.
Yeah. Well, he's the owner of the company, or the big shot of the company.
Okay, we have an angry big shot. I'll go for that.
Sent a crew down, and they done the job, and I got down 30 different deals that was wrong with it.
What do you mean by that?
Well, they used the wrong thickness insulation between the batten. This was block house, and it was wavy. It come loose at the corners. They come loose at the joints, and I could go on here forever. But anyhow, they come back, and they got mad, and they come back and took everything off.
They stripped your house?
Yes, it was that bad. The man that done the job for him said it was. It's come over and look at some other jobs I'm done. I said, I don't live at them places. And they kept telling me it's a block house. There's nothing we can do. You got old-fashioned siding.
Yeah. But you said you knew that beforehand.
Yeah, I says, I never switched houses. This is the one that was bid. I never switched houses, no. Anyhow, they redone the whole job. But they used too big a nails. They used about a 20 penny, I think. About 2 3/4 long when they put the batten on this old block.
Mm-hmm. So where are we going with all this?
Well, they ruined the block house, I think. They took sledgehammers and broke the sills off and broke blocks underneath the windows. And what can I do? I've had a contractor come in and look at it, but the only place you can see it inside now is one room where we don't have paneling. I showed him where over the windows they broke the blocks.
What do you mean they blow? I'm not quite sure what you mean.
They drove nails, these big nails in.
Yeah. Well, you're going to do that when you put on some kind of siding on a home.
Yeah, but it was bad the first time. But see, they never pulled any nails when they redone it. They just drove the other nails in and come back and drove this many more big nails in it again.
Well, here, look, I can't settle that here. Now, here's what you have to do. You're going to have to find an expert to come in and testify that these guys have damaged your home.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have to bring an action against these fellas to recover. But first, before you just can't say they drove nails in my blocks and so on. That's not going to take you very far.
Yeah, I agree.
You're going to have to have somebody come in that's an expert and say they did this, they shouldn't have done that, or they did what they should have done, but now that the job has been undone, it'll take this to put the house back in the same condition as in before.
Yeah, just to call another contractor in.
Well, you're going to have somebody.
Yeah.
See, right now, if I asked you right this moment, what will it take to get back to where you were before? You couldn't answer.
Take a complete new...
No, you couldn't. All right. Oh, new what?
A whole new wall.
All right, fine. How much is that new wall worth?
Ooh, that'd be the whole house.
Well, but you couldn't that's what I'm trying to get to, my friend, is you couldn't answer the question.
Yeah.
Could you?
No, that's what I'm trying to find out.
Well, that's why I said you're going to have to get an expert to come in and say, hey, here's the situation, Your Honor. These fellows did thus, and and it caused this damage, and here's what it's going to take to put the thing back into the way it's supposed to be. Or put another way, suppose for whatever reason, the contractor walked in your door right now. How many dollars would you take to get off my back? I don't think you could give him an answer.
I was afraid the house was going to fall down, but we had a good windstorm and it stayed up.
Well, I seriously don't think the damage is that pronounced.
Well, what happened is a couple of years ago we had different windows put in, thermal pane windows.
Yeah.
And the contractor here says, well, you got iron around there. Don't worry about those cracked boxes. And I says, we don't either. That was taken out when these other windows were put in. And all we've got is aluminum and glass holding that block up.
Mm-hmm. Well, they shouldn't have taken that. Well, that's another story.
Yeah.
I think what you must do is get yourself a contractor to find out what it's going to cost to put you right, and then you got to determine whether you want to sue this guy to try to get him to do what you think is right. Good luck, Tiger. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Go to Portsmouth, Ohio. Hello there. Welcome to my world.
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Lisa.
Yes, Lisa.
And I was wanting to find out some information on a piece of rental property.
All right. Are you a tenant or a landlord?
I'm a landlord.
Okay.
Okay. The house goes up for rent December 1st.
All right.
And a guy got in touch with my husband wanting to know if he can rent it.
All right.
Now, he knows this guy fairly well.
Your husband knows this fellow?
Yeah, he knows him.
Okay.
And he told the kid, it told him up front that he's not married. What I want to...
That is not a crime.
I know. What I want to know is if I get him to rent my house, do I have him sign the lease or both of them sign the lease?
Who's the both? His girlfriend, you mean?
The both of them, yeah.
No,
See, they're not married.
Well, you keep saying both. I assume that this is a female.
Yeah.
It doesn't always work that way, you know?
Yeah, well,
right, so
that's the way this one's working.
Well, he's living with his girlfriend, you're saying.
Right.
I'd get them both on the lease.
Okay.
Look, every signature you got on there, jointly and severally, increases your position. But you understand something. If they want to stick it to you, they can stick it to you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Suppose they walk out. What are you going to do about it?
Well, you mean just walk out?
Yeah, they just said, look, I'm sorry, we don't want to live here anymore. What are you going to do about it?
They'll move.
That's right. That's why I say a lease is no big deal.
Yes.
But I would certainly get both of their signatures.
Mm-hmm.
John Smith, Mary Jones.
Mm-hmm. Well, I just wanted to know because the girl has a child from a first marriage, and if the child was to get her in my house,
No, well, first of all,
be considered just a guest in his house.
No, I would, first of all, the chances there is probably not. This would be her permanent address. She gets her mail there, her driver's license, and so forth. So that would be not the issue. The issue, I think, is that you are better off to have both of their signatures on your lease. That's all.
Okay.
So you're leasing the place to Mary Smith and John Jones.
Right.
But as far as the liability is concerned, you raise a different issue. You do have a... Thank you.
That's good. My family and I really enjoy listening to your show.
Thank you.
And we respect your opinion highly. So, we had a question about when it would make sense to buy a new car.
Oh, I think yesterday afternoon was a good time, but today, I mean, the stars are definitely...
But my husband doesn't agree with it.
The stars aren't lined up today, though. Forget about it.
Okay.
What do you got in mind?
Well, I have a car. We have two cars in our family. One of them's four or so years old. The other is 9 years old. It has 125,000 miles on it.
Barely broken in.
Right. It works fine. It eats a lot of oil, but I put
When
oil.
you say a lot of oil, how much?
Well, every other gas tank full, I put a quart of oil in.
All right.
Which is not, to me, it's not a big deal.
No, it's
because
not.
I have a car that's paid for, that's dependable. The only problem is, this is a twofold question, really. The car keeps having little nuisance things break down. Not expensive, but they're just nuisances. Like right now, the light, the turn signal and headlight switch is broken, and the lights go on and off at random, and it's not too safe. So I'm going to have that fixed. But the other question, or the other part of the question is, I have my own business. I drive my two kids around quite a bit, and I'm trying to portray the image of a successful businesswoman, and I drive up in a little older, run-down, worn-out car.
Well, there's two sides to that story. There are a lot of guys who could afford a lot more and sometimes have the expensive car at home, all right?
Right.
But they keep they drive a cheap car because they figure that people will think they're ripping them off if they're driving a big car.
Yeah.
But be that as it may, look, if you're talking about image, that's one thing. But if you're telling me this car is running good, gets you where you want to go, is paid for. Now, the fact that it burns a little oil is without relevancy.
Right.
And the fact that you have nickel and dime expenses would be eaten up with 1 month's depreciation. All of the expenses you've outlined would be cover you for a year.
Sure.
So in terms of, and the car has no value.
Right.
So in terms of straight economics, clearly you drive this car till the wheels fall off.
Right.
Now-
So that's when I drive it till the wheels fall off.
Pardon?
So I should drive it until the wheels
Well,
fall off.
if you want to talk economics, now, if you want to talk about pleasure and you want to talk about prestige, these are all other variables and not without merit.
Right. Okay.
The car that I am presently driving is not anywhere near as elderly as yours, but it's ready to turn over 100,000 miles.
You do a lot of driving.
Well, I commute 100 miles a day.
Oh, that's...
And beside whatever else I do, but that 100 miles just back and forth from my office to this office is 100 miles.
Pretty impressive.
No, impressive. I just put the car in cruise control and cuss at the other driver. You know how
Yeah,
that
I would
goes.
get very frustrated if I had to drive long spells.
Well, it isn't so much distance in my case as it is the type of driving. I mean, I have to drive through some of the world's worst traffic, and that's frustrating. There's no question about that. But any event, you see, if let's talk about dollars. Maybe this whole thing may be academic.
Okay.
How much do you guys earn?
Well, that's probably part of the question, not a question, but I went into business last year for myself, and last year my husband and I cleared $110,000 between the two of us.
What kind of business?
I do land use planning. I prepare environmental impact reports, that kind of, and I'm working on development and roadway improvements, things like that.
What do you do that for?
Oh, a variety of public agencies and private clients.
Okay. Well, clearly you guys have a good income now. You got any overriding huge debts?
No, we don't own our house outright.
No, you're buying your house. What's the mortgage?
80.
No. How much the payments?
Oh, the payments are about $900 a month.
All right. Well, there's no question in my mind. If you want a new car, you can clearly afford one.
Yeah, I'm actually, what I'm doing is saving so I can pay cash.
Well,
but I'm wondering at what point does it make sense to go out and spend the money?
Well, you see, you're trying to put the thing, I understand that, in a totally economic frame. Well, you can't get it into a totally economic frame. Because because there are other things that wander into this little mosaic. Well, you live in a home, right?
Right.
You could live in a trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I didn't say you should, but you clearly could. It would provide shelter. You wouldn't freeze, or you wouldn't, but you elected to have a little nicer home, right?
Right.
So the decision was not only financial, was it?
No.
The decision was also lifestyle and the rest of it. Well, an automobile is part of our lifestyle.
Okay.
Now, you can obviously afford it. From the point of view of economics, you're better off to keep what you got for 6 months, a year. You're riding for nothing.
Okay.
But that's not the only thing in life.
Right.
I mean, clearly I could get to work in a Yugo.
Well,
I don't drive a Yugo. Trust me. I mean, I have what they laughingly call a luxury. I like a big automobile.
Well, that, is another factor. I have 2 children, and I feel like my car is rather small and not as safe as some of the larger.
Well, that's another facet on this little diamond you and I are polishing. Now, I'm not sure if that's not, for 125,000 miles was the right size. Now it's the wrong size.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little bit of rationalization, I'd say.
Yes, definitely.
But that's another program. You're free to you're a big girl. You can rationalize you want to.
And the seats are starting to get torn, but I can get seat covers.
Yeah, but you just want the fun of a new car.
Well,
you're entitled.
Well, I guess
you're entitled.
Yeah.
If you make enough money, go for it.
Okay.
If that's what you want.
I'm not sure that it is, but...
Well, that's another story. I wish you well, sweetheart.
Thanks for your input.
It's been a joy. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. We go now to Houston, Texas. Hello there. Welcome to Talknet.
Hello, Bruce.
Hi.
First time caller.
Well, I'm
First time to call and first time to get through.
Okay, kid. What's on your mind?
Bruce, I got a little family problem I want to ask you about.
All right.
I was up in Austin and went into business with my brother. He owned it. Basically, I worked for him. It got heavily into financial debt. I left. And now I've got creditors chasing after me, including the IRS, leaning everything I have.
Why after you?
Well, they claim my name was on the checkbook, and as far as the other creditors, they feel that, I was with my brother in this company.
Was this a corporation?
It was a corporation. I did not personally guarantee anything.
All right. And then the credit was extended. Don't let me put words in your mouth. Was the credit extended to the corporation?
Yes.
Well, I don't see how in the world. The IRS is a separate issue.
The IRS can go after anybody they feel right.
That's right. They'll go after anybody. It's up to you to prove.
Yeah, and then in the state of Texas, anybody can sue anybody if they can get away with it. Well, my deal is that I left Austin and moved to Houston and did not get served with certain papers, and some of these judgments were just default judgments.
Mm-hmm.
But my question is this.
Well, you can challenge those.
Well, I've tried.
On the basis of improper service. But then I don't know what the service rules are in Texas. In some places, you just got to nail it on the front door.
Yeah. But my problem is that my main deal is the Internal Revenue Service.
Mm-hmm.
They're hitting me for close to, a large figure.
How much?
And $100,000.
That's a large figure. What are they? What is this? With employee withholding?
Federal income tax. Withholding tax.
The money that your brother was supposed to withhold from his, probably did withhold from his employees.
Well, he withheld it from his employees, but didn't pay it in.
Didn't send it in. Lovely. Yeah. That's big time money.
Well, they even got him for more though. But what the deal is that in this whole time, he got a bunch of money through his wife got killed in a car accident. And he got a bunch of money, and his deal was he was going to pay the IRS and get them off me, and he never did.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And he's hid the money and everything.
Mm-hmm.
All right? And most of my family members are telling me that, hey, it wouldn't be right for you to go tell the IRS where the money's at, where my sister-in-law's estate's at, so they could get this stuff, so the bill can get paid and get me off the hook. He's living up in a little town of Bastrop, which is right outside of Austin, doing real nice for himself and hiding all his assets, while I'm down here fighting to stop my paycheck from being taken by the IRS.
And what's he say about this when you bring this to his attention?
He just blows it off. He says he's trying to take care of it, but to no avail. He hasn't done anything.
How long has this been going
on? Since 88.
Oh, for crying out loud.
And we're not talking any short time here.
No, we're certainly not. Furthermore, let's recap this. You were not a partner in this business in any way, shape, form, or regard.
No, sir.
You just took a paycheck like everybody else.
I took a paycheck, but I also signed checks.
Well, I've signed checks for companies I had no interest in.
Yeah.
And I got people signing checks for me than companies they have no interest in.
Yeah.
They just work for me.
I talked to my agent 2 days ago,
yeah.
My IRS agent.
Right.
He told me if I could get my brother to sign a piece of paper stating that he had made all the decisions, that I could not have wrote a check if the money would have been there, then the IRS will consider releasing me.
Well, why don't you tell your brother, unless you get that...
I saw him today. He was in town today, and I saw him today.
Yeah.
And he says with what he's working at, his lawyer's telling him to put all the blame on me so he can get released, and then we'll worry about getting me released.
Well, you tell him, isn't that nice?
And that's what I told him today.
I tell him, unless I get that letter in a big rush, any assets that I know about, they're going to know about.
You wouldn't let the rest of the family stop you?
Hell no. Not, but your brother is screwing you.
That's what I say. You know?
And what makes you believe he won't leave you hanging out to dry? No, I would tell him either I get that letter, Tiger, and I get out, you get out second, I get out first. Otherwise, any assets that I find out about, they're going to know about. I wouldn't put up with that for a minute. I mean, brother or not, I can't imagine why a brother would behave that way. Was his ship, it sunk, and they wants to blame it on you? Forget it. I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around. This is Talknet. A gentle reminder, because it's a little out of character for us, tomorrow between 1:30 and 5:30, we'll be taking your calls off the air, getting ready for Memorial Day weekend. Friday afternoon, 1:30 to 5:30 Eastern Time. I do hope many of you will join me. Alrighty, we go to Nebraska, to Lincoln, Nebraska. Hello there.
Hello, how are you?
I am just fine, thank you.
We enjoy your show a lot, and we had a problem we thought we'd ask your opinion on.
Let's chat.
We have a difficulty with a neighbor of ours, and we aren't just sure how to proceed with it.
Mm-hmm.
We live in an area where we own acreages. The road is a non-dedicated road, so the road that goes to our place and then on to his is on a border between our property and the third party's.
Okay. And he has a right of way, I take it, on that road.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The problem that we've been having is that this fellow, he bought land before everybody else did, 2 or 3 years, his portion, and evidently kind of thinks it's still all his. He has planted trees on our property and grass. He's cut wood that was, deadfall wood and taken it off our property. And we've asked him and told him on 2 or 3 different occasions that, that we own the land now, we have our own plans for it, and not to do it anymore. And we just noticed again today some more things that he's planted, and 2 or 3 other things just in the last couple of weeks.
Let's back up. Does he know specifically where the property line is? There's no question about that.
On most of it, there's a small portion that's a curve that's not very well marked.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say 80% of it is, very.
So he clearly understands that he is doing this on property that doesn't belong to him.
I would think, I don't see any reason why he wouldn't know that.
Well, let's put it in the positive. Does he know? Have you showed him?
Yeah, the stakes
so, Henry, this
also.
is. But I mean, you take him out there and say, Henry, here's the line.
Mm-hmm.
On that side of the.
We did definitely on one portion, and we did point out the stakes on a couple other parts too.
How old is this guy?
Oh, I guess.
I mean, real old,
30s maybe.
Okay, he's not over the hill or anything.
No.
When you confront him about this, what does he say?
Oh, he's real belligerent and not very articulate. He says we're stupid and we don't know what we're talking about, and just to get off his land.
To get off?
When we go to his house to tell him.
Oh.
Yes. So.
Well, how much do you have in way of property?
About 12 acres.
Okay, well, then you're not going to fence it or anything of that kind.
No.
But I do think that you would be wise to have him legally notified that he is what he's doing, because then he's allowed to come back sometime and say, hey, I've got an interest in this property now because nobody told me not. I think that you might want to have an attorney just drop him a very terse note explaining to him that this property is yours, that it is the lines are clearly delineated, and that you expect that he will stay off of your property, and you might want to post it as well. Whatever the posting laws are in your state.
Just a general attorney, or we don't have it?
Yeah, just a local guy. There's no big deal. Just want to put him on notice, and I'd also have if you don't know, have your attorney or someone tell you what the posting laws are in your state. No trespassing signs, because that has some protection for you. I'm Bruce Williams for Talknet. Hey, Boise, are you there?
Yeah.
Let's do it, kid.
Hey, I'll tell you what my question is. I'm planning to. Well, I'm working now. I work for a sales company.
All right.
And I'm going to go to law school in the fall.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You've been accepted and so forth?
Yeah, everything's squared away and ready to roll.
Very good.
And, well, I guess my question is, I want to give notice, obviously. I got to quit my current job. And I wanted to give 30 days notice. I felt that was the professional thing to do.
And what are you doing now?
I work for a sales company.
In what capacity?
A combination of inside and outside sales.
All right.
Okay. Want to give 30 days notice.
Mm-hmm.
My only fear...
that they'll say, well, tomorrow's your last day.
Right. Is that... Well, Can they do that? Or?
Oh, sure they can do that. But you know who you're working with, and you should have some feel for how they'll respond. Now, as a practical matter, 2 weeks is considered a sufficient notice, and unless you're a highly placed executive, and then there's really no rule of thumb. But for the type of position that you've described, 2 weeks is, I think, very adequate. But you know your boss is better than certainly than I. How do you suppose they will respond?
Yeah, I'm not sure. That's the problem.
Well, obviously you're not sure. We wouldn't be having this conversation.
Yeah.
But what do you think?
Well, I don't know. I guess I don't think I don't think that they would drop me.
Let's back it up another way. How's this? Has anybody else resigned since you've been there?
They've all given 2 weeks.
And what'd the bosses do?
No problem.
Let them work for the 2 weeks.
Okay.
I go with the 2 weeks.
You think that's fine?
I think 2 weeks is adequate, yes.
Okay.
Good luck, my friend.
Thank you.
Going through law school. It's an adventure. My daughter Kelly is in law school. Yes. She is now the aspiring. We need an attorney in the family, and Kelly is it in Stetson in Tampa, Florida. Would you believe in her class is a talk show host? Or a former talk show host? My goodness, a small world. All righty. Medill, Oklahoma. Your turn. Hello.
Good afternoon, Bruce.
Hi.
How are you, sir?
I am well, thank you.
You sure put on an awful good show. I got to meet you when you were down in Dallas.
Thank you. Yeah, it's fun. You came down from Oklahoma, huh?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Did we get introduced?
Yes, we did. On the chimney sweep.
I remember very well. You had a chimney sweep suit on with a T-shirt.
Right.
Yes, indeed.
And I'd like to ask you a favor. I'd like to ask you a straw dog and tell me where I'm going wrong on something.
Go to me.
Okay. I've heard you so many times, and I've heard it from other people say that whenever you buy a house or a property, you should always have it inspected.
Yes, sir.
There is not an inspection service within 100 miles of where we live.
Is that right?
Did you start in?
Well, in that case, there's a need waiting to be met.
Right. What I'm looking at doing, and even the ones I've seen down around the Dallas area, they don't know a fireplace from a hole in the wall.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, most of them treat it like one.
It kind of is a hole in the wall, isn't it?
You kind of, yeah.
Okay.
I was thinking of trying to put together a company, basically taking a roofer and a plumber and an electrician and a termite person and a foundation man and myself.
Too many people.
And HVAC.
Too many people.
Well, but I'd rather wouldn't it be better to have a specialist in each type of field to do the inspection?
I think it probably would be, but the problem is that who could afford it?
Well,
an inspection goes on average around the country for $150 to $200.
Do they? I think down here they're paying close to $400 in Dallas.
That would surprise me. I think 200 is near 150, 200 is near average.
Okay.
But the point is that it would just cost too much money to have a crew like that.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, if you were, you're going to buy, if you were buying South Fork or something, the whole operation maybe yes.
Yeah.
But if you're buying the average home at $75,000 to $150,000, You just couldn't afford to spend that kind of money for all these different experts. That's
Well, I
why
think
you
I
need...
can get the inspections, fairly cheap from the people. The individuals, mainly because unemployment's so high around here.
Well, maybe you could put 2 or 3 people on a team, maybe, but I think you're a little ambitious with that many.
So will you be like combining an HVAC and a plumber, maybe? Or
what's an HVAC?
Heating, ventilating, and air conditioning. Heating and cooling systems.
Yeah. I don't know I don't know which ones you'd pick. You'd certainly want somebody who knows structure.
Yeah.
Because that's the most important thing you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
The other stuff is important, but it's secondary. You're looking for let's take the worst case scenario. The whole heating system, the whole air conditioning system is shot. You're talking about a few $1,000s.
Right.
But if you could have a structural or foundation problem that could go to 30, 40, 50,000.
That's true.
So it would seem to me that the most important guy would be that engineer.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest of them you could phase in. But I've never heard of a team approach, but that doesn't mean it wouldn't work.
I was just thinking, like I said, the reason I thought of doing it with team approach is because I've gone in behind an awful lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
And gone in and had to put in almost completely new structures.
I understand precisely what you're saying, but the problem is economics.
Mm-hmm.
You can only charge so much. And it just only can spread it so thin. Hey, I wish you well, my friend.
All right, appreciate it.
Let's do it again. When this fellow came to a thing we did in Dallas, I think it was at South Fork. I remember he came up and introduced himself from Oklahoma, but he was wearing the typical, I use that word in quotation marks, chimney sweep uniform. The top hat and the tuxedo with a T-shirt saying chimney sweep. Let's face it, you don't forget people like that. I'm Bruce Williams. Yet bet. This is Talknet. Hilton Head, South Carolina. Thank you for your patience. Welcome to my world.
And thank you for welcoming me. I need you, Bruce. I want to tell you, if anybody is listening, listen to this man. Get a lawyer in any real estate deal you ever do. I listened, I didn't do it, and I'm sorry.
What happened?
Question. When you get a survey of your property, will the easements be shown? Should they be shown? Or are you subject to surprise easements that the surveyor didn't show?
Well, they most certainly should be shown on the survey that's certified to you, yeah.
Okay.
It's up to the surveyor to do his homework in that regard.
Okay. Well, bless your heart, because I had to sit out in a camp chair this afternoon in front of a big crane that was coming through my backyard.
What happened?
Well, they've got a lagoon falling apart, and a man-made lagoon.
So that doesn't mean, by the way, that the easement still isn't valid.
Right. Okay, so the survey could be invalid.
Oh, sure. The fact that an easement isn't on a survey doesn't in any way, shape, form, or regard, and I didn't mean to imply that it did, that the easement doesn't exist.
Okay.
Guy could there could be a screw up. I take it that there is an easement so that they can get equipment in and out to repair bulkheads.
Well, that's what they're claiming, and I'm looking at the survey after survey of my lot, survey when we bought the lot, survey when the house was laid out, survey when at what they call it down here an as-built survey.
Well, it also would should show in the description of your property in your deed. There should be a description of any easements.
Okay.
Or the addendum, and addendums to there too.
Where do I go, or how do I go about determining whether I'm right or they're?
Well, where's your deed?
My deed's in my safe deposit box, and I'll get it tomorrow morning, first thing.
Take a look at that. See if there's a survey if there's a deed, an easement for across your property. I would say, let's back up a little bit. You mentioned bulkhead. Are you in one of these communities where they dug out little canals so you have your boat in the backyard?
Well, no, not boats in the backyard, but it's a golf community, and they've dug out what they call lagoons.
Yeah.
So that the water's in the lagoon and everybody's on water, and the water and the lagoon waters the golf course, and etc. I
would suggest that the strong likelihood is that you're wrong on this one.
Okay.
Now, let's face it. What do you care if they move it across your property, as long as they return your property to its present state? And every easement, everyone I've ever seen, and I'm sure most easements would call for that.
Okay.
But, they'd have to have some way to get in and service stuff.